Hey, and boom! Episode, a little crack.
Clip the shit out of my ears,
man. Right? I hit the momentums.
Yeah.
Episode 129. What the truck, man? I mean, we got some What the Truckers in here.
I love the distortion, bro.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So, hey, guys, introduce yourselves. Let the world know who you are, and let's get this party started. I want to hear all about you. I mean, the top logistics podcasters out there. Let's do it. Let's get this thing going.
I'm Dooner. I'm one half of What the Truck. Work over at Freightwaves. Produce the show. We've been doing it for I've been doing it for 3 years. He joined the team about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right at the start of the pandemic, the old co-host, he decided that was a good time to quit a job.
Yeah.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I got an argument with this guy over here about Frozen 2 at a holiday party, and I was like,
Yeah.
if he can argue about Frozen 2, he's the perfect co-host. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Match made in heaven. Let's go.
Yeah.
What you got?
He's more like 75% of the team, really.
Okay.
When you think about it.
So he's LeBron.
He's definitely LeBron.
On a winning team.
On the winning team. Not at Cleveland.
Yeah.
He's on a winning team. Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm just happy to be here, dude. On What the Truck, and I'm glad to be here with you, man.
This is a great.
It's awesome.
When we pulled up here, we were not expecting to walk into this big labyrinth of studios and everything.
Yeah.
But this dumpster fire studios, you got some nice stuff going on.
Sure.
Here.
We were knocking on the dumpster out back for a while till we figured out.
And you was like, oh, not
That's
dumpster. It's
not
actually
like actual dumpster.
the logo. Yeah. So I
Gotcha.
mean, you got meth clinic, you got a church, and you got bingo. Then you got the studio, right?
So it's like a cradle to grave place.
Cradle to grave place, just
Right.
any
Awesome.
logistics company, pretty much everybody get along here.
I love it.
but you're right. The studio is you wouldn't expect it. It's kind of like going into the Chronicles of Narnia.
It's
You know?
pretty badass in here, I got to say.
Well, it's funny because you were on our show. You were on What the Truck. What was it? Not last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, right?
Yep.
It was right before your death match.
Yep.
And I've been a lifelong wrestling fan. Grew up one of my most memorable moments in my life was watching WrestleMania 6. Ultimate Warrior was Hulk Hogan. I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
It was in the Sky Dome in Toronto. It was
yeah.
fantastic. So you came on. I haven't gotten to interview many wrestlers especially on a freight show.
Sure.
I was so excited. Then you went in the death match. You just showed us your back too, right before we went on air. It's all cut the F up.
Yeah, well, it looks a lot better than it did. When you go through light bulb tubes and thumbtacks and get the whole head skewer thing, it's already healed. It's not even a big deal. But it was the door. It was a legit, it wasn't like I described it last week. I said it wasn't a room door in a hallway. It was like a front door, and there was 2 of them, and so I had to go
solid
through,
wood.
Solid wood, yeah.
Shit.
So the frame never broke. It was just the middle part of it.
Yeah.
So I went through 2 of them, and that's what really scratched my back up. And then I guess the way I landed on the light bulb tubes, I kind of landed on the metal part, and that gave me the biggest gash, I guess. But other than that, it's nothing.
So we're not supposed to interview you, but you said the stuff was fake, and that's bullshit because it's not fake. Can I say bullshit?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
All right, cool. It's not. It's not fake. And I saw you back. But you did say there's this thing if somebody accidentally hits you too hard, you get to hit him back again.
Sure.
So was that too far?
No. I mean, you know it's coming.
Yeah.
I mean,
he said, listen, I'm going to stick some thumbtacks and some glass in your back and shit like that.
no, but
And you said, awesome, I'm up for that.
when I knew that I was like, hey, I told the booker of the show, his name's Dylan. He's actually the video producer for AEW, one of the guys that does all the vignettes.
Yeah.
Really talented guy, really creative. And he works for DDP too. So it was really cool. But anyway, so I told him, I was like, hey, man, I want to do a death match before I'm done. And I'm
Yeah.
not too far away from probably being done. Just
Really?
because Marcus and sports and being busy and family. And
Yeah.
But he loves wrestling too. So that's why I'm still doing it. I'd already be done.
Gotcha.
So I was like, how to do a death match? And he goes, okay, how do you like a hardcore match? And I was like, no, bring Tank in, and I want to do a death match. Because Tank is literally known in the death match community as a legend.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
and he's early 50s.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, I've seen what he does in matches. I know what it is he's going to do in the matches. I was like, I just want to go out there and do the best I absolutely can as of never being one and just being a traditional wrestler. And I think I got that point across, and it was all good, man.
Okay, but I was watching this David Arquette documentary that came out about a year ago, right? He tried to get back into wrestling, and he was going to some sketch. He was going backyard wrestling at random dudes' houses, and he ends up in a death match. Have you seen this documentary?
I haven't, but our promotion is
Yeah.
he's at one of the shows.
Well, some dude in there, he wanted to, get some clout, take out Arquette, and he stabbed him through the neck. Arquette had to go to the emergency room
With a
for this
rake?
thing. No, with a broken shard of glass. I think it was from one of those light bulbs. Those
Yeah.
light bulb tubes, they don't always just shatter into dust, right?
They don't, and that's the ones that kind of suck. That's the ones that kind of gas you open.
Yeah.
So the more, and it's not the ones that they hit over you or you fall on. It's the residue of it laying on the mat, and then you take another bump or another fall. Like the only bump I didn't want to take was at the end of the match. I think I jumped from behind. I took a clothesline. I was hesitant to bump because I knew what was in the ring, so I kind of like went to my shoulder.
So we want to stage some more things on air. I don't want to call it a stage. We want to call these some spots for each other and attack each other on air a little bit more.
Yeah.
What are some things that like we could perform safely as novices?
Oh, I mean, any types of punch and kicks. I mean, just taking a metal folding chair.
Yeah.
Doing back shots with that does not hurt at all. I mean, it's if you can get hit in the head with a pillow really, really hard, you can take a chair shot. It's just
he hit me in the head with a piano. That wasn't bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a trash can lid, do trash can, an old metal trash can, the trash can doesn't hurt whatsoever. You can do any of that type stuff. The stop sign doesn't hurt. But if you want to do actual moves in that studio, I mean, you could do a suplex. It's not going to hurt. You just need to roll through it. Like
we got to set something up where you throw me across the desk, or some shit. That'd be pretty fun.
One day we'll come in there and I'll just kind of choreograph you guys through it a little bit, and then y'all can perform it on the show.
I mean, I shot him with a Nerf gun, but
that's close enough.
Well, I mean, like the other thing you got to know in wrestling is the art of the promo, right? And that's got to come in handy in both sales and podcasts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You got me curious though, because like you're a wrestler, you cut promos for. Have you ever cut what's your best sales promo you've cut on somebody? Have you ever cut a promo on a client? Take that wrestling knowledge into real life.
I have 100% ruined a relationship with Kroger. I'm on the do not.
And that's the bottom line, Kroger.
Yeah. I'll tell you something, brother. I'm on the do not contact list for Kroger. But other than that, I haven't had to.
Why did Kroger work themselves?
Yeah, what happened to that?
Let's just say I had knowledge of lanes they were running. For the prices that they were running them. And I had solutions that were much cheaper. And they didn't understand that I had all this information. So then I was being very forceful with and this was you got to remember, this is week 2 into my sales career too. Yeah. So, but I mean, I was very forceful. I didn't just knock on the door. I just kicked that bitch down. I was like, hey, I'm here. Where's your freight? And they didn't like that too much. I was like, you're not allowed to be here. Yeah. So now they probably got me off it by now because that was 3 years ago. But that was literally the same week that also landed my biggest customer using the same strategy. So I don't know what it works.
Hey.
I'm 1 for 2. Batting 500.
That's
on that,
pretty good.
Batting
500 is pretty badass
on that strategy. I've gotten away from that strategy though. Yeah. But the whole I do like the pro wrestling logistics aspect that I've kind of brought. I like on the LinkedIn thing because a lot of people just stay very professional. You guys don't. Yeah. But I love that. The ones that don't stay professional stand out. Yeah, and you can start to see that group kind of forming itself.
That's what the whole philosophy behind what the truck and why it is so loud and so brash is, especially when I took it over and decided to switch the creative direction of it. I wanted it to really stand out. Everything was so blasé that was going on in freight podcasting. Everything sounded like ripped audio from a webinar, and we're let's just do this how people do real podcasts, entertaining podcasts. Let's have real conversations and let's bring in footage and let's talk about trends that are happening and let's bring social media into it and let's have a good time. What's funny is that in freight, for those of you not in the industry, there's a surprising amount of rivalries.
Oh yeah.
And shit talking.
Yeah, there was some shit talking. I was trying to start a little bit with Steam, but they never bought. They never would bite.
So what shit do you want to talk about them? So I like Steam, but one thing I'll say about them is their non-compete thing. They got some logos out there with people that have one employee.
Yeah, you're right. And also, so the whole non-compete. Listen, I am Mr. Non-compete. I'm all about non-compete. Don't want it. What about the non-solicit? Let's talk about the non-solicit. Nobody wants to bring up the non-solicit. What's the one that really matters? You can pretty much get away with a non-compete in Tennessee. Non-solicit, you can throw some handcuffs on somebody with some lawsuits, and if you're a bigger company, you're going to win. So Steam can say, hey, if you got a non-compete, I don't care. Just bring your contract over here and we'll rip it up and we'll lawsuit them to death and you can work for us and we're a great place to work. But also at the same time, sign this 2-year non-solicit. So if you come here, you can't take any customer that Steam's ever contacted, which is all of them. So, it's one of those things you're taking the handcuffs off to go into more golden handcuffs that are covered with sand and you can't tell really what it is. Not saying they're a bad company. I got buddies that work at Steam. I know people that work at Steam. People are at the higher up levels of Steam. Steve Cox does a great job of leading Steam. I mean, Steam is pretty much a spin-off of Access America. Dude, I love all those guys. So I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying, can somebody talk to me about a non-solicit? Like, nope. Like, you bring it up and it's like, won't do it.
No, they're not going to do that because that actually hits the pockets.
Well, and they bought InNonSolicit.com and got this whole campaign. Well, guess who owns InNonSolicit.com? I do. So it's just a matter of like when I get ready to pour something. And I was just going to parody their account. Like I was just everything they put on their website, I was going to parody it with fake stuff.
I think that's a great idea. This sounds like this runs kind of deep. This sounds like there's some water that's not going under the bridge here. And you've got an axe to grind. How did this all start between you and Steve?
Well, I mean, they're the biggest digital presence in town, and we're a startup. So, and I like, in the world of professional wrestling, causing a little bit of controversy.
Gotcha. Call out the biggest gorilla in the room, right?
Yeah, I mean, how do you get noticed? I got noticed several times in wrestling for like matches or whatever. Like, but I got really noticed one time for causing a lot of controversy with comments. So I know that your words can matter, and if you look at like if you put up like the impressions of my page, Steam is my number one fan. Steam is my number one viewership, like on everything. Yeah. So it's like, well, they're hearing it and they're seeing it. Maybe they're not liking it or whatever, but they're definitely there. So yeah, it's fun.
I called Tesla every Friday for 3 years, asking for Uncle Elon. Yeah. And then they blocked my number. But during that time, they were my number one viewers on LinkedIn.
They were awfully patient. I mean, they're really patient, though, for 3 years. They let you harass them?
Yeah. It only took SpaceX like a week and a half after that.
Yeah.
No.
And now, oddly enough,
158 calls, cut this guy off.
And but now you got SpaceX on Want the Truck tomorrow. We're talking about the lunar lander.
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah, we got the big contract.
So, wait, let's get off me. So, What the Truck, when did it start and who started it?
So it started at Freightwaves in, I want to say 2018. A guy named Chad Prevost, who isn't there anymore, and a guy named John Paul Hamstead. They were kind of brought into how a lot of companies start podcasts. They were brought in a room. They said, hey, we need to start a podcast. People are starting podcasts. And they just started it, and it didn't have and they'll tell you themselves. Like, we didn't have a ton of direction. They were just sitting in front of microphones and just talking about what's happening. Concurrently, I was already doing my own show, The Shipping Pod, independently. I was in this industry for a long time. I've done everything from operations to sales to marketing. In 2016, I got fired from a sales job and had a really bad problem with alcohol. And my wife was also 8 months pregnant with our second kid. So I took that opportunity to go into rehab, to get my mental health checked into, to center myself, and to start. My therapist there was like, "You should." I mentioned I want to start this podcast because one thing I was talking about therapy is like not only is there depression, there's also all this anxiety because I don't have a job. I've got a kid on the way. Like, and they're like, he's like, you're in logistics. You mentioned this podcast thing. Why don't you just start that and do it on your own, and then maybe someone will hear it. So all credit to that therapist because then I went and I started the Shipping Pod, and it took about 2 months. But then this guy named Steve Aborn, who owns Freight Plus, he heard the show. It was called Aborn & Company at the time. He heard the show, and then he hired me on to start ghostwriting blogs, and then I started a show for them called Consulting Logistics. Interview Craig Fuller, who's the founder and CEO of Freightwaves, and then all happened quick, and this was in 2019, and then he DM'd me like a week later and was like, you ever want a job in Chattanooga, come down. Flew out for the interview, talked to him, and he's like, do you think podcasting can be a full-time job? And I was like, I'm going to build you the biggest freight podcasting network in the business. So of course it will be, and we did that, and we built Freightwaves TV and Freightcast, but What the Truck's kind of been like my baby all along the way. And the other host, who's kind of from the old thing, he didn't really like my style of producing, which is like very, very hands-on. It's I put a lot of input into it, and that's when he left, and then Vincent came on the show. I mean, he went on one time for a guest appearance, and based on that Frozen 2 argument we had and that one guest appearance, I was like, you want the job? It's yours now. So that's how that started.
Well, I was like, hell yeah, I want to be part of this. Because I've been always that guy that doesn't kind of fit in corporate, right?
Yeah.
What's
your background?
34 years in logistics, man. I've done everything except...
No shit.
Everything except run a train. LTL, truckload, asset-based, brokerage,
How old are
ocean
you?
shipping. I am 56.
Okay, so since you're 20?
Damn.
No.
Damn.
You're a young-looking 56-year-old, Michael Vincent.
No, you look fantastic.
Damn.
No, that's awesome. I don't think I've like seen anybody.
I've never met anybody
I've never
56 years old. Some bit.
No, I don't think I've seen anybody look as young as you with 36 years of experience in logistics.
Well, I've never matured past 16, and that kind of keeps you looking younger.
Yeah.
Too.
No, seriously, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. So all that stuff, and but hey, I touched it all, but I wound up at Freightwaves because I worked at U.S. Express for Express Global Systems that was owned by U.S. Express.
Okay.
We sold that off left, and Craig was starting this, so I showed up. And I jumped at the chance to do this with Dooner because I've got the experience, I've got the knowledge. I don't really fit in the C-suite. I've tried that type of stuff. But intentionally unprofessional is what I'd say I am. And I'd say that's what the truck is, getting the message across, and I loved it.
Although the first time we ever met, speaking of wrestling matches, the first time we ever met was at Transparency 19.
Well, I was going to tell that story,
you were
too,
drunk as F with
What?
Arlen and Bose.
That's not true.
And you guys started giving me so much.
That's bullshit.
I had a kind of a bad time at Transparency 19 because I decided to ring my cowbell when Gary Vee was on stage, and it kind of I got a lot of heat after that. I had a lot of heat in the back and the front and the side.
Yeah.
And then my brilliant idea was then I get in trouble for hitting the cowbell, so I'll just give it a guess. Annoying, my rulers even more.
Yeah.
But it went over big with the guest, so then the cowbell became a fixture. But he was there was some slack comment about AS400 green screens, right?
Yeah.
And he's just drunk with these other three guys, and they're just talking so much shit. So I'm just trying to walk back to my hotel room. And I see Chad later, and I'm like, who the fuck are those guys?
Who the fuck are those assholes? Well, yeah, but I mean,
And he was employee number 2, 3, and 7.
That's right. Yeah, 2, 3, and 7. We were. That's exactly right.
That's awesome.
Well, we were out there, and I was out there in the lobby, and somebody comes up and goes like, "You see that motherfucker out there ringing the cowbell out there? He's done." I think it's that Dooner guy.
Oh man, dude, cowbells used to
They
be
were
the
wrong,
worst.
though. I outlasted them all.
You did. You
That's
absolutely
awesome.
did. Kudos to
So
you, brother.
you said you didn't like the C-suite,
Yeah.
and I guess the corporate
well,
mindset.
I'm not a politician.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to play the politics. Just
Okay.
call bullshit, and let's move on.
Right.
And have some fun getting it done, and because it's stressful as shit. Man.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I didn't fit in it. I just want to get shit done. I just want to talk. I just want to get the shit done. And if I was in sales for many years, and it was just when I walk into the room, it was much like your style you're talking about. I just killed the elephant right there. Just let's slaughter it right here and move on from there.
Yeah, you're busy. I'm busy. Let's just get this
let's cut
done.
the bullshit, man.
What's been great though is we've built the brand so much, and it's done so well that Craig reached out to me a few months ago, and he was like, "How do we expand this? Let's do the Barstool Sports of Freight or trucking or something. We got to expand what you're doing. I want you to run it and put together a team and do it." So What the Truck kind of now runs also this other site, backthetruckup.com, which we hired 3 different truck drivers to be on there to be content creators.
Yeah.
They just started their Back the Truck Up podcast, Rooster and Super Trucker did.
Nice.
And it's cool. So they're telling the story of freight, sort of like how Freightwaves is C-suite downwards. This is surface up, boots on the ground up.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
solid truck driver opinions, all that kind of stuff, humor, and again, also so much trucking media is just press releases and blowing smoke up drivers' ass.
Yeah.
So we want to show we want to create some controversy. We want to shine a light on things. We want drivers to tell their truth. We want them to share their truth because it gets buried under so much, or they get a small segment on a show and it's surrounded by so much other fluff. So we wanted to just take the gloves off and give these guys a chance to tell what's really going down behind the wheel.
Dude, I love it. I think it's great. What you guys do is the best out there as far as the logistics scene sees. And do it daily? Y'all do it daily, right?
No.
Sort of. I mean, What the Truck's 3 days a week. I mean,
3 days.
backthetruckup.com is every day. I do newsletter, some writing. He writes every day and is on Freightwaves now. So we still have operational roles within the house of Freightwaves.
What's that look like?
The operationals, it's kind of cool. The nice thing is about a startup, so it's very amorphous. When I came in there, my department didn't exist. Freightcast didn't exist. Podcasting didn't. We had a podcast, but Freightcast didn't exist. Freightwaves TV didn't exist. So we were able to kind of build that structure. And I guess it would seem weird coming in there from the ground in, but I think to us, we've laid every brick that's around us. So it I don't know.
So do you have a team under you that's doing stuff as well?
For What the Truck, no. I mean, it's mostly just me and him. Then we have our production team in the background who, they're one of the live producers of the show.
Sure.
But the post-production, pre-production, that's all us.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. What type of software do you guys use for that?
For Google Doc.
Nice. Old school. No, I love it.
Just use Google Doc, yeah.
Hammer mill paper.
They use, I mean, the production team, they use some program called Beyond TV. It brings people into VoIP. They have all the systems in the back. But that's kind of nice. Because I remember being indie and, like, having to literally do everything myself, including, like, keeping track of the levels and everything, and then you add video in there. That can be really cumbersome. So it's really nice having the production team there that can then take that live product and send me the audio and get the video uploaded and all that stuff. So we definitely have a team, but in terms of sort of like the creative production side of it, that's basically just us.
About how many's on that team, the production side, or the editors?
It's switched so much in the past year, right?
So there's probably 5.
5?
No, now we have way more. So we've at the lowest, I think we had like 4.
Yeah,
and then we've gone all the way up to now we have maybe 10, 8.
Is it that many?
Wow.
8.
Well, there's people that aren't in studio anymore that used to be in studio.
Yeah,
so
Self and Aaron count, even though they don't sit in
they
control.
don't even come in. You don't even see those guys anymore. So, I'd say around 8. That's about right.
Yeah.
So I guess you handle your scheduling as well?
Yeah.
That's tough, man. That's hard when you're doing podcasts and keeping up with people.
There's a reason I really wanted to do that, though. It helps create the relationship.
Yeah.
I started Podcast to Network, and I've never lost that idea behind it, that this ultimately is to network, to introduce yourself to people, and to meet people.
Absolutely.
And to me, part of that process, and I will continue to do it as long as I have time to do it, is booking those guests and creating those relationships. Because a lot of my reach outs too, like I have guests on because they said something interesting online. Like you, the way I reach out to everyone is basically how I reached out to you. You posted something interesting on LinkedIn or Twitter, or I read something interesting in an article, and I just reach out to them on social.
You wanted to get a wrestler on the show.
I want more. Well, that too.
Yeah.
But I saw Logistics Wrestling.
Yeah,
Chattanooga.
absolutely. You got to have that on the show.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Logistics Wrestling? Hell yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and a lot of people, I stayed away from being in logistics and wrestling for so long, trying to like separate the two, because I was like, this is not really professional, and this is kind of.
It seems like a big niche to cut off, but I don't know.
Yeah, and then I was like,
you got the strongest man in logistics too. Who is that again?
Robert Bain.
Yeah, there you go. We got to get you guys.
Yeah, we've talked.
Robert Bain, we're coming
Bain,
for you.
When you came on What the Truck, you said you were the strongest man in logistics.
That's right.
You said you were going to do a weightlifting demonstration for us, and what happened, Robert Bain?
He showed us a certificate.
You showed up with no weights. You said you had a competition. Well, you failed our competition on What the Truck. Take it away, Gunner.
That's right, brother. So Robert Bain's a big guy. Back
that down right away.
Big guy.
Back it down. I saw the certificate. He did lift 500 pounds.
Some of his lifts and some of his deals. He's definitely a strong guy. But I would love to kind of understand who are some of the most fit guys and strong guys and stuff. And when it comes to logistics, so there needs to be more of that out there as well. Like we could really niche down logistics into several different categories.
I mean, Freightwaves strongest man, he's got to be Anthony Smith for 3 years running, right?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, As far as if you were talking about like bodybuilding physique, he's the man.
And he's an economist too.
And he's an economist.
And he's got like impeccable skin, and he never has a blemish on him.
He's beautiful. Yeah, I've got a man crush on him.
That's why I never have him on What the Truck. It's just like
makes sense.
He's beautiful.
Make us look too.
He's smart and he's beautiful.
I feel
and he
bad
rides a
for-
longboard skateboard to work.
Yeah.
Oh, now we're just going hippie too.
Yeah.
He lives in
He's
the
going to compete. He
lives
takes
in the
all
North
the girls.
Shore.
He'll take your girl.
Lives in the North Shore, huh?
No.
Yeah, you've seen him?
No, I just the surfboard, just sounds like it.
Yeah.
Probably went to Baylor, McCallie. Is that how that works?
He's from no, he moved down here from New York.
Oh, that makes sense.
Or no, he's up in Boston, but
he was from Boston. He's not an asshole like me.
No, because he wasn't he everybody's a
spent a little
Lobo
time
woof 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 bullshit or whatever.
He was on that one.
Yeah, New Mexico State or something. He was a
Not
Division
NWO
I
Wolfpack.
player.
Okay, cool.
He's
cool.
like he was like the world's smallest Division I nose tackle or some shit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, that's still D1's D1, baby.
It is. Amen.
We all make it. So where's the plan? Like, what's the future of What the Truck, man?
We're just building out to get bigger. I mean, there's the fun thing about working at a startup is things change a lot. The only year that was really sort of like sad was 2021 because I feel like a lot didn't change with the studio or the show, and everything was so start-stop with the waves of COVID and like things having to stop. But since then and before then, I mean, things have constantly changed and been built up, and we've brought on new team, and now that like the world's opened back up, we're getting to go out to places. So at the moment, we haven't hit the end of the runway for What the Truck. But the other thing that we're building up is backthetruckup.com. That's that Ford trucker site. We're also contributors on there. We brought What the Truck over there and everything. So that's really like the goal right now.
It has to be profitable. Is it profitable or more marketing? Like, is it a revenue generating part of
What the
Freightwaves?
Truck is one of the highest revenue generators in the house.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So is that through sponsorships?
Through sponsorships, alignments, all those kind of things. Yeah.
What do you mean by when you say alignment?
Alignments with different brands. So like a USA Truck of the world, right? Now we didn't do like a sponsor, but they invited us out. And a lot of times you come with alignments with different brands, and they bring you out there. It's they sponsor the trip to go out there and to see them. They sponsor the show. They sponsor the newsletter. Like What the Truck has 3 sponsors on it right now. It's got Loves. Actually, this month we only have 2. We have Loves and Locomation. What the Truck newsletter's got ODFL. Yeah, it's been doing really well.
Nice. I got to learn some of that stuff as far as when it comes to that. But I know obviously Freightwaves got a little bit better name behind it. But even locally,
we also have a sales team back there too. That's selling.
Yeah.
So
They're selling the.
Yeah, there's people selling it too.
Yeah, but here's the thing: when you're in a niche like freight, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to reach people in this industry? You're going to just put an ad in a magazine or something like that. That's gone the way of the dodo, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
people needed new avenues and new channels, and I kind of noticed that early on when I was with Aborn and Company, that this could be more than just to network and market for me. I'm like, companies will actually pay for this, and they'll either pay for me to produce this series, but then I was able to make something that can actually have other people pay for the sponsorship side. And the sales team, they do a great job. When you're in a niche like us, you don't really even have to sell on CPC. What you're selling on is that the only people who are going to listen to this are in logistics.
Yep.
And the more you can cultivate and narrow that down, the more you can present that. And that's where a newsletter comes in. So the newsletter is kind of the secret sauce, because in the newsletter, like podcasting, you guys know this, the analytics on podcasting sucks. It's RSS. It's driven on RSS. You have no idea who's who that's listening to your stuff.
Right.
You get some decent data from Spotify because they have user data that they give you. But your actual audio podcasting hosts, not much, right?
Right.
Like, what do they listen on? Was it on a browser? It doesn't really even tell you how long they listened on.
Right.
But when you have those numbers, but you can also take the numbers from a newsletter, which shows all the different industries and companies and everything that people work for, that's when you can really get some attention.
So are y'all on YouTube?
We are. We haven't cracked the code on YouTube, though.
No.
Cracking the code on TikTok at the moment. We got a million banger on there.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So our first video we put up did like what, Ethan, 75, something like that. We just got one a few months ago, or a month ago, or whatever. I have no clue how to work any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm pointless. I mean, I'm trying to learn, but
YouTube is tough. It's like any social when you're starting to begin, because the only things you see in your feed are the things that have like 1 million views, or like 300,000 views.
Yeah,
You start
yeah,
out and you
yeah,
put
yeah.
something up there and you're like, okay, nobody watched this.
right.
Like, it's always like a little dispiriting, but
Yeah.
I don't know. We're still trying to figure out that. YouTube code.
Yeah, for me the
Freightwaves
best.
TV as our own channel, like our own platform,
Yeah.
has done phenomenal. And one of the reasons we funnel a lot of people there
Through
too,
LinkedIn?
Well, no, not LinkedIn. LinkedIn Live's a little overrated. I haven't seen like a bunch of conversion come out of LinkedIn. It's good for networking, but
Yeah.
I don't know about like conversion. What we've really had great luck with is the audio podcast side and with the Freightwaves TV side. And the really good thing about the Freightwaves TV side is you get so much more listener data, so you can actually understand better what people want and what they want to hear, and that better informs how to produce the show and who to bring on and what was working.
Is Freightwaves TV just a website, or is that what you get if you purchase something with Freightwaves, like one of the programs?
No, it's free. It's
Okay.
free.
I didn't know that.
TV.freightwaves.com.
Okay.
There's an app for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It plays within almost every article on Freightwaves. It plays on the sidebar on
Yeah.
Freightwaves. So there's always something going on Freightwaves TV, and our traffic of over 6 million people that come to FreightWaves.com a month are exposed to all that, and that's really helped build that channel out. Because, I mean, our best funnel is the funnel you want it to be. It's FreightWaves.com. It's not LinkedIn or something like that.
Sure.
It's our own site.
Ethan, we need our own site.
I mean, I'm gross. So that's hard. That takes a while too. Like
I
I'm
know,
running back
I
to
know.
truckup.com.
Yeah.
And things hitting waves. So like the TikTok's really taking off. Some of the things are taking off. Then you got to try and rise all the pillars up together. The Instagram's starting to take off. The Facebook's starting to move. The Twitter's been doing well. And that too, we got to crack the code on the damn YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube's tough, man. The only thing I've seen that's decent is like putting it on other channels that you have good followings and having people click it from there.
Yeah.
Because YouTube will show you in-depth kind of analytics of like you had 77 people watch from a Facebook link, you know?
Like,
it's-
2 weeks ago,
That's
we
true.
had 169,000 views on one of our shows. But that was kind of an outlier. I mean, usually they're not even close to that.
What do they usually run at? roughly?
It depends. I mean, the algorithm, whatever it can be. I mean, you go to our YouTube, it could be 100 to 169,000.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Yeah.
It's all over the place.
We have the same thing. It's like from 0 to 7,000.
Yeah, and I'm not. And that's what we're still trying to figure out. Is like, how do you make that click? Because we know it's not just a content thing. Because the content's doing well on so many other platforms.
Sure.
So I don't know. We need some sort of YouTube expert.
Now, are you guys obviously fans of like Gary Vee and guys in the digital space? Or do you, or like, what do you have any like mentors in podcasting or podcasts that you like? Do you get inspiration from?
So we used to, not he and I, but myself and Kevin Hill over we used to do a show, Put That Coffee Down, and it was like sales advice and marketing advice, and I enjoyed it for like 2 months, and I got so sick of like listening to myself give advice and listening to like these other gurus give advice, so I'd have things to talk about. That I like after a year, I was like, Kevin, it's your show now. I can't. I'm gonna do more What the Trucks.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't know. I think Gary Vee has interesting things to say. I liked his thing with Craig Fuller when I rang the cowbell.
Sure.
But I don't know if I like people just like yelling all the time advice. Like my mentor is like Bill Burr. Like I listen to like Bill Burr podcast.
Yeah, the Monday morning podcast. Yeah. That's a good podcast.
Well, and the Thursday one too. All freckles, man.
All freckles.
I love how he's always like, yeah, what is that whole part's the best part. What about you? Mentors, inspirations, and YouTube or podcasting or anything? Or
okay, I'm with Dooner. I mean, I was doing what was it, the coronavirus market update, which was just unbelievably sad, dude.
Yeah,
that's and I was doing that with Kevin Hill.
Are these all Freightwaves things?
They were Freightwaves things, but that's what we started doing that stuff. So I mean, my mentor in my where I'm learning everything is from that guy right over there. It's been totally from Dooner. So as far as looking at and watching podcasts, I'm really just getting into doing that type of stuff because for the first year I was figuring out that why do people actually like me doing this? I think I suck.
Right.
And so I really feel like I'm just starting like yesterday.
Well, if you have an opinion and you have a point and you kind of pick a side, you're going to do well for the most part. People are going to kind of
for the most part. But I had to learn how to look at the right camera and talk into the microphone correctly and not say stupid things and get words out and questions out without making them 15 minutes long and shit like that.
Here's what the glorious thing about Freightwaves is, though. Yeah. It's like, or it can be the hard thing, or it can be a hard thing, or it can be a great thing. But one thing is that you can kind of carve your own path as long as you take the initiative. Sure. So. You're like his first year, you were just doing the podcast, but now that we have, and then you try to launch Banff, and now we have Back the Truck Up.
Yeah,
and
Banff was awesome, but that was a disaster.
But now you've been able to like build yourself up a little bit more, doing your own shows within Back the Truck Up and doing your own articles and stuff, and your sonar breakdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's what I mean. I'm really starting to come into my own. I feel like I just started like yesterday because right now is where I'm starting to feel comfortable and starting to expand out and doing my own articles and stuff like that. So. I'm a newbie to the business. I've been, 2.5 years? But a lot of episodes, 300 plus.
You got to stop calling yourself a newbie. Like after 2.5, you're not a rookie after 2.5.
Yeah, well, I meant just saying I kind of feel that
56-year-old rookie over here.
Well,
I mean, if you're a junior playing football in college and you suck, you just suck at that point, right?
He's a 12th year red shirt.
You do. I'm a 12th year red shirt. I'm a 56-year-old rookie, dude.
He's a coronavirus 7th year senior.
How old was the rookie? We saw the rookie. Who saw the rookie? The dude was old, man.
Yeah. No, but he's proved that age doesn't matter. Because you see some 56-year-olds out there, right? And they look like they're ready to go. They look like they're ready to check out at any moment.
Yeah. It's 56 trips around the sun. I don't know what the fuck that means, but it's about as hot as the surface of the sun in here right now, though. I'll tell you what, bro.
There's no AC. It's a little hot in here. All right? It's a little hot in here. A little bit hot in here. So, dude, I love what you guys do. And the reason I'm asking these questions now is because, I'm curious because you guys have the belt. You guys have the 2021 Logistics Podcast Champion of the Year, or the Heavyweight Champion, what is it called? What's the belt?
Logistics Pod. I think it's Logistics
Podcast Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, that's what Trophy Smack
World
put on
Champion.
There.
So, what did y'all get that, or is that like a?
No. So
yeah, we won it. It was a legitimate battle.
Right.
We killed the people, and they did not survive.
Dead. Yeah, no, they're gone.
I'm an avid Shark Tank watcher, right? And whenever I see a company on there that I'm interested in, I reach out to the people who've been on Shark Tank. Sometimes they get back to you, sometimes they don't. One of the companies I saw on there was Trophy Smack, and they make fantasy trophies. And also, though, what really caught me during this interview and why I knew Matt would come on was Matt's one of the founders of Trophy Smack. He was talking about being one of the number one sales agents or the number one sales agent at Global Trans.
That's right.
And he's like, that's how I knew how to source all these things and I knew the products. Now I'm keeping costs low on the shipping is my background in logistics. So I looked him up on LinkedIn. I reached out to him immediately. He came on the show. We started a relationship with him. He's been on a few times. And then then he sent us the build.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that
really cool.
episode was interesting because that's when Kevin O'Leary and Cuban started talking about the fact that knowing logistics is an absolute must for a successful entrepreneur and CEO is to understand supply chain
They've
logistics.
never said that again, though.
No, they never have. But I mean, but it's absolutely essential. And I mean, this past 2 years has really proven that stuff out. But yeah.
No, this stuff, I had no clue what this stuff even was coming out of football. Like, I was completely dumb to it. I could have thought it was like Spanish or something. Didn't really matter. But now it's like all I do know.
Yeah.
You know, it's all I talk about really outside of work.
Did you get into this business like a lot of us? Is this like second chance? Like, I was in the music industry first.
Yeah.
And that wasn't going so great. That was like early 2000s. Napster had come out and like file sharing. And I was in Hollywood. I worked for an independent record label. But like the prospects of getting to a major and going further, it just didn't seem like that was happening at the time.
Yeah.
And instead, they were slashing salaries and cutting
Sure.
jobs. So that's when I like moved back to Boston with no idea what to do. And then I ended up working in this business, and I've been stuck here.
You started in logistics in Boston?
Yeah. Well, what happened is my family moved out to. We're from Boston. My family moved when I went out to California for college, and I started working at the record label. My family had eventually relocated out there, my parents and everything, and then I pulled the old switcheroo on them and moved back to Boston. But after like 3 months, I didn't have any money left, and my dad's like, "Listen, you're about to turn 26. You're not going to be on my insurance or anything like that. I'm not sending you any more money, so go find a job in Boston." Like, I was really holding out to get a job with, what were they? I think it was Harmonix, the ones who did Rock Band. They were based in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Okay.
They didn't return
The game?
Yeah,
Okay.
Rock. And this was 2006. It was huge at the time.
Yeah.
They didn't get back to me, so I ended up having to walk to FedEx Trade Networks which is, we kind of walked some same roads before, which was in East Boston, and I had no idea what a broker was. It was just it was a job. It was health insurance. I could afford alcohol to eat and my rent, so I was good.
Yeah.
At 20s, that was fine.
So I came out of college, playing football. Came out. I had an interview with Access America. I ended up not working. Had an interview with, like, Enterprise, didn't work. I did it like 3 pharmaceutical companies, didn't work. I was like, Jesus, like, what does playing football get you? Absolutely nothing.
No.
You know, broke my neck for this city. I can't even get a damn job. So then I was like, sold cars for like a month, did a complete nutrition for a month. Then I had my WWE tryout in June of 2014. So I graduated in 2013, had my tryout in December, had my tryout in June 2014.
Who was your tryout against?
It was just a 3-day performance center tryout at the WWE. We can talk all about wrestling too. Right. So any questions you got? But so went down there, did that.
I just was wondering if you got some jobber.
So like a combine? Were you at like a combine? Is that what it was?
It's pretty much a combine. Yeah, I'll break it down.
Yeah.
So went and did that, and I wasn't going to put my eggs in any basket until after that was over as far as career goes. Well, I happened to go see my buddy B.J. Coleman, who played quarterback at UTC.
Yep.
Nick Davison. They were working at a company called Lipsy Logistics. And I
know him well.
I went over there to see them. And
Joe.
They have great parties, I hear.
Yeah, out in Aspen or somewhere.
Easy. All right. So, well, anyways, we'll talk about that too. So it was like a Thursday. I was at D1 Chattanooga training. I hit them up. I was going to have to leave that night to get there on Friday, or maybe it's like Wednesday, whatever. So I called them. We would go to lunch. They're like, "Hey, just come in and let's go to lunch." I was like, "Dude, I'm in a dripping wet tank top and athletic shorts, and I had I had long hair. Like, I was not ready to go into a business." They was like, "Oh no, you're good. Come on in. You're fine." I was like, "All right, cool." I walk in. First person I see is Johnny Jones.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny Jones, I played football at East Ridge with his son, Johnny Jones Jr. He was a senior. I was a freshman, and Johnny Jones Sr. was always there with my dad watching the games. Always a big fan of mine. Kept up with me through college and everything. But I had no clue what he was doing. So I walked in, saw him. He was like, "Dude, what are you doing? You want a job?" It didn't go like that, but pretty much went like that. I was like, "I got this tryout. Let me come back." And he goes, "You got a job when you come back?" I said, "What is it?" He goes, "Logistics." I go, "What is that?" He goes, "You'll be great at it." And I was like, "Okay." He goes, "Yeah, just show up when you get back." When you get back, I said, "Sunday." He said, "How about come in on Monday, talk to Stephen Grace." You guys know Stephen?
Oh, yeah.
Talk to Stephen Grace, and then we'll figure you out for Tuesday.
Wow.
So I came in on Monday. I met with Stephen. And then here's a funny story. So I came in, and Joe was in Johnny's office, and Steven was over here, and they kind of kept me separated. This was the first day I walked in my tank top, and I was, but about the same size I am now, but I was all sweaty. I walk in, I see Joe, I see Johnny. They're like, "Pro wrestling, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "So how good's your acting?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm coming to try out a ball. I'm just more of an athlete ready to get trained. I'm not doing any of this." And they was like, "Okay, cool." But I was like, "It's fine. It's good." And they was like, "All right, cool." So the guy next door is Stephen Grace. What I want you to do is I want you to slam open his door, slam it behind you. I want you to walk up to him, get so close to where you could grab him, and say, why are you stealing my employees from Access America? So, at this time, I have no clue what any of this means, right, in logistics. So I was like, okay, cool. Walk over, open his door. He's like in there with somebody. I was like, out. They were like, what? I was like, out. They were like, excuse me. So they like, get out. And I slammed the door, and his deer head falls from the wall. And I walk out. He's like, what? And I was like, shut up. You quit stealing our employees from Access America. He's like, who? I was like, shut the fuck up. And he's like, whoa. And then Johnny comes in. He's like, I'm just kidding with you, buddy. He's nice. He's easy, Steven. It's awesome. It's great. And then I got hired that day. So, and then I started in logistics. Started out track and trace. Ended up getting to like a little bit of a CSR. Went into brokering. Became a track and trace manager. Went into procurement. Went into pricing. And then went into sales. Then jumped ship to a startup at 12 Point. Jumped into sales. And now here we are.
Yeah. It's like a fungus you can't get rid of.
Yeah, I was like, I never would have thought that logistics would have been my route. And Tia, she's in logistics as well.
But isn't that like one of the things that makes this field so interesting? Because you have so many people that they had an interest somewhere else in life, and they bring that with them. Maybe not on LinkedIn where like they're all like button up and being super professional.
No,
but like, when I actually
that.
talk to people in this business, they come from so many like different walks of life, and almost all of them are like, yeah, I didn't grow up thinking I'd work in logistics.
No. Even when I was doing this, the only reason I picked this place was because Johnny told me that he just supported me. He was like, just think of this as like I'm paying you and you go do your wrestling. Like, you got to wrestle Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to work with you. Work as long as you can, and then take off. Just let me know. And we did that. He did that with me for 4 years. Like, I was traveling hard. I'd be in D.C., Virginia, Chicago, New York, Tampa, Charlotte, Atlanta, Nashville. Like, I had a little territory that I ran every month, and I was gone Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for almost 4 years. And then I blew my knee up, had a little time off, ran my mouth too much, got canceled, went viral, started doing podcasting. And I was like, well, logistics is a pretty good plan B. Let's try if we can actually put all of our effort that we put into wrestling, into working out and everything, and take that sports mentality, put it into logistics, see what happens. Boom, land a great account. Now I got a team. Now it's like I'm a coach again, coaching a team, kind of back in a locker room environment at a small company that everybody really loves each other and takes care of each other, and we're doing a good job, and we're becoming profitable and growing. And it's like now business is becoming my sport. And it's like, well, shit, now it's plan A.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, man.
But it's interesting how many different people just wind up the way they are, right? And wind up in the logistics.
And it's so easy to have conversations with people in logistics because they're just normal people. Like, even the people that are presidents or CEOs or whatever, they're just normal people that probably came up doing exactly what we're doing or brokering or whatever.
You know what I heard wasn't a normal person?
Who?
One of my heroes growing up, the Ultimate Warrior, Jim Hellwig. I heard you
might
have
transition.
I heard you might have a story with him.
Good transition. Man, I almost forgot.
Someone tipped me off. They said you might have an Ultimate Warrior story.
Oh.
Man. So I grew up, when I started watching wrestling, it was 1997, 98. So I jumped into the Attitude Era. So Warrior was done. I literally saw the worst of him in WCW and was like, what is that, But then as you grow up and you get into working out, and Rocky is my favorite movie, and then you start understanding like bodybuilding, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all this type of stuff, and that's where you get in your workout programs. You just kind of find Ultimate Warrior. Yeah. He just kind of jumps into your face. And it's like, if you like comic books or superheroes, and then you like bodybuilding, and you also like pro wrestling, well, who's your favorite wrestler at that point? It's the Ultimate Warrior. And so I go back and watch all his stuff, and I was like, dude, that energy, that intense, painting your face. So in high school, I started painting my face like the Ultimate Warrior, but I'd do it like from the eyes down.
Wow.
And
wait, you were doing this in like the late 90s?
No, I'm talking about when I was in high school.
Whoa.
So I'm 31, so that's...
You were dressing like the Ultimate Warrior in the mid-2000s?
Yeah.
Wow. Everyone's listening to Linkin Park and wearing Jinko jeans, and you're walking around with
during football games. During football games. So
I would... like in public.
Yeah, no, so that was the
going to school like that.
Yeah, that was the war paint, so we'd do that, right? And so then when I got to college at UTC, my first year I was a little nervous when I got to start playing. My freshman year, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I should put the paint on you. I don't know if I deserve this, Like, and it's college.
Haven't paid yet.
Pro wrestling. Like, the guys in college like pro wrestling. I was not ready to be myself yet. So then the next year, I started growing my hair out, started kind of finding myself a little bit. First game, we played Nebraska. It's our first game of the season. Nebraska's ranked number 10. Taylor Martinez is the quarterback. Rex Burkhead is the running back who was in the league. Really good team. So we go up there and play them. I was like, you know what? I got to stand out on TV. This is going to be on TV. I got to stand out. Got to have a good game. Got to look the part. So I wear like the Ultimate Warrior armband type things. and then I paint my face up completely for the first time in college, and all my teammates are like, dude, that's sick. You need to keep doing that. Playing linebacker, obviously, so that kind of stands out, and I have one of my best games. So, like, Amon Green, running back for the Packers, is in the booth commentating, telling me how good I'm doing. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fun.
It's not bad.
To go back and watch that. But then there's a hit where I get a hit on a special teams. I'm on the 50-yard line, and I'm, like, with the painted up, and they kind of zoom in on me, and I'm, like, doing the Ultimate Warrior whole, like, bringing the power from the gods thing, right?
Yeah.
So after that game, the media team at UTC came and interviewed me. Hey, great game. Why'd you paint your face up? What is that? In the article, you can go back and look at it. I go, well, I drive that inspiration from two people, my favorite football movie and my favorite wrestler. Favorite football movie being The Program, Steve Latimer. He'd paint his face up. He's the jacked up dude. Great movie. So, and he was crazy. But then you got The Ultimate Warrior, the energy, running to the ring, the passion, and went into the whole pro wrestling thing. The next day, that thing's retweeted, out, shared with The Ultimate Warrior because he's kind of coming back on social media at this point. This is 2011. And he's kind of coming back as like a motivational type speaker type thing on his YouTube channel, which is Warrior Man.
Tactics, a little controversial.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt. Well, this is after the Yukon speech, and then this is more like, because that was like 04, 05. This was more like 2011 when he's trying to like kind of come back in a nice way. So he hits me up, hey man, love the stuff, glad you're doing all this stuff. And then I break the power clean record that year at like 355. He finds the video, sends it out. This guy's a warrior, this type of things. I was like, dude, this is really cool. The freaking Ultimate Warrior is like putting my stuff out. Yeah. Now my follower count on Twitter is going up. My new Twitter is created just for the podcast pretty much to promote this. And it's nothing. Nobody's even on there, even hears anything. But like my Twitter before that and everything had a pretty good following just from football and pro wrestling. So he built that up for the wrestling. Like then Gerald Briscoe started following me as like a recruiting agent. More wrestlers started following me. I got a little bit of clout like in the wrestling just because of him. And then one day I get a message on Twitter and it's like, hey man, send me your number. I want to give you a shout. And I was like, I'm about to get catfished. This is no way. This is the Ultimate Warrior asking for my phone number to talk to me.
Right.
So I was like, that's worth a shot. Whatever. Here's my number. See what happens. Like 2 weeks goes by. I get a phone call and it's from either New Mexico or Phoenix somewhere. Scottsboro, I think, or Scottsdale, Phoenix, or whatever, or Scottsdale, Arizona, Jesus. And I was like, ooh, this is either catfish or I'm about to get answered. This is going to be the Ultimate Warrior. So all my buddies in the dorm room were standing around me, and I was like, all right, let's put on speakerphone. Hit speakerphone. Hello? Gunner's Warrior, man. I was like,
unbelievable.
Going to my room real quick, guys. Going to my room. So I go to my room, talk to him. We probably talked for an hour. Nice guy. Just asked like all about me, wanted to know everything about me. And then you could tell he took notes because he like told me some things and some motivational things. And he's like, I'm going to give you a call next week. And you can tell he took notes and like wrote questions from those notes because the next call was like, hey, man, got a couple things I want to ask you. Yeah. And it was like diving into like, your family life, your mindset, your philosophies, what's your workout routine right now, how you eating, how are y'all training at UTC. And then he became a Mox fan through me. Wow. And he started doing like motivational speeches for our teams before games. So Coach Huseman would accept these videos that we would play before our games, and he would give like motivational speeches about funny story. So Georgia Southern, right? Yeah. He did a 20-minute promo on Georgia Southern, calling them Southern Georgia. Wow. It was awesome. So that really got our team going.
Yeah.
And he called Citadel just the Bulldogs. He just like kept referring to us as us letting the Bulldogs coming back and beating our ass, and I was like, easy there, guy, but it was cool.
I gotta tell you something about my memory was, I remember like from 2006, I was sitting in this bar in Boston called Mr. Dooley's, right? And I'm on like my third date with this girl, and she was like, tell me something about yourself that I would know or nobody would know. And I was like, all right. I like wrestling autobiographies. It was over like within 10 minutes. I don't know like what she had against wrestling autobiographies, where she's like, all right, this guy's clearly a weirdo because he's into wrestling autobiographies. But like it'll block you. So be careful with the wrestling love with some of the ladies.
She's not the biggest wrestling fan either.
Yeah.
But she'll watch it sometime.
But you still like, she didn't just walk out of Mr. Dooley's on you and you told her you liked her nice book.
That's it. Well,
the picture.
I've been down this road before.
She obviously knew I was a wrestling or was a wrestler, so we called her in the spider web, as I like to say. But yeah, man, that was the whole Warrior thing. And
you ever spit any mist in her face?
No, none of the green mist. None of the green mist. But yeah, the Warrior thing. So like we talked.
You want to do that to Kaylee, Vincent?
Spit some green mist.
Yeah, like if you just open, wouldn't that be like that would go viral if you just open Freightwaves now? It would at least go micro viral.
You should for sure do it on
There'd be
Freightwaves.
at least 7 people.
There should be just random guests that come on like in their suits and stuff that you just like green mist them. And you're like, you're just sorry, you were number 7.
I wish more people would come. No, like honestly though, I wish more guests would come in with like face paint on or something, or we just kind of like loosen up and not because like if you really understand our show, and when I get the opportunity to sort of like produce with the guests, which doesn't always happen when I do, it's always like, do you know the show? Or are you familiar with the tone? We try to be a little bit more, conversational and interesting, and and that. You always got to get them to that phase. I love that the Ultimate Warrior called you in character though, because that would be like such a disappointment if he's like, hi, this is Jim. This is Jim Hellwig.
And he kind of calmed down, but he didn't. Like he was always like talking to me. Like you could tell, like he was. I got to tell you this right now. Like you got to listen to this right now.
Yeah.
Like that's how he talked, and I was like, oh, yes, sir. Yeah, okay. Like I went to his workout program when I was in college, and we had a little bit of controversy with that with my strength and conditioning coach, who was my favorite coach. So he kind of worked it out, but I was like, I got to structure my program around what the Warrior wants me to do. And he was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, no, I gave him our program. He just changed it a little bit for me. He added some things, and percentage-wise, like with my maxes and reps, he just wants me to do this, and I got to video it and send it to him to prove that I'm a Warrior. And I was like, he was like, you're fucking crazy. And I was like, yes, I know.
Yes,
I
that's
know.
true.
So, and then I videoed all my stuff, and I'd send it to him, and he'd take those videos and post them out of his Twitter, and they'd get a shit ton of views, and I'd get more people coming over to my stuff. Like, he helped promote me up until, and then he was like, what do you want to do in life? And I was like, he goes, NFL? I said, I'm realistic. I broke my neck 3 times. I'm very injury prone. I'm 6-foot white guy. Listen, probably not going to the NFL. And he was like, okay, what about pro wrestling? I was like, I actually know football. I'm actually pretty good at it. And I have never wrestled, probably have no shot at doing any wrestling, so I'm more realistic about that. He goes, Vince loves football guys, and I can talk to Vince.
Yeah.
And that was like when the whole Jerry Briscoe thing started to happen.
I always like it permeates so deep in your mind, some of this wrestling stuff. Like I use a lot of the ideas from wrestling production when I'm doing my own show. In terms of how we model it, I think that you can learn a lot from that. Even when we're fighting with rival publications, I think of it like the Monday Night War. You know. And then you have to, because then you have to think. You got to read Eric Bischoff's book, Controversy Creates Cash. You got to read the book, and that'll give you a little advice on how to deal with these things. But like one thing I learned when I got older is like, you can't just wield a sword wildly online. Like, don't engage and get in a fight with every other person.
Right.
Like, there's got to be an angle.
Yeah.
Like, how can I turn this into content?
Right.
I won't fight you unless it benefits me.
Right.
I'm super selfish about who I'll fight with now.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because of your timeline, too. Like, the reason, too, is, like, about a year and a half ago, I got in a fight with someone else for another publication. And then people get to see all, like, that drama on social media, and it's like,
Right.
And I wasn't feeling like I could have been funnier.
You know what would be better? You do have a Bill Burr, too. You know what would be better? Like, if we staged, like, pro wrestling but in logistics in media.
Yes.
We could have angles.
I think that there should be more
skits,
because there's a lot of like talking that goes on in the background and DMs and stuff.
Yeah.
But we're not very open about how much we hate some of the people that we have to engage with online. So I think that we could have like a summer of discontent.
Let's do it.
So just start
for the rest of the summer.
Start
let's
right
just
now.
talk shit.
We're only 2 days in, so we have time to build this.
Oh, summer officially started 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that, like when I'm on LinkedIn and someone announces a new job, wouldn't it be so much better if they were on like their company feed and they like pulled off their shirt and then they had the new company shirt underneath, like
right.
Like I'm over at 4 Kites now, or
Or have like if you're doing through like an interview process and you're like, listen, I'm pretty good at these interviews. I've had like 7 job offers, and have all the hats out on the table and be like, I'm going with that one.
Yeah.
Screw Amazon, I'm at Flexport now.
Yeah.
Team Flexport.
That's right.
Right.
It's a big get.
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff we could do in this game. Stir up some. That's all. So the comedy podcast scene is kind of what I watch and notice. Like you guys, so you got Rogan obviously started the scene, but then you got Bill Burr's kind of spun off. Then you got Joey Diaz spun off, and then you got Theo Von spun off, and Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen and
Carolla was in there way early on too.
Yeah,
Adam Carolla, because Bill Simmons was like one of the first major podcasters,
right?
The sports guy from used to be ESPN, now the Ringer. And he was good friends with Adam Carolla. And he's the one who got when K-Rock was it K-Rock or was it was KTLA? It was a talk. Actually, that's how the reason I got into podcasting was when I used to work in Hollywood. I would listen to talk radio. I got so sick of like hearing K-Rock and music all the time. And MP3 players weren't great in like 2001. So you get sick of your music and LA traffic. We started listening to KTLA, which was just talk radio. And I got really into like FM style talk radio. They had Howard Stern on there. They had Tom Likas. they had all these other ones, and they had Adam Carolla on there. And then Adam Carolla, they cut it. They turned it to like Mexican. They reprogrammed it as Mexican music.
Right,
like salsa music. And Adam Carolla had nowhere to go, and then he started that podcast. And then like that was a
yeah.
big
He was
moment
one of the
for him.
first ones.
Yeah. He's got like way more political. I haven't listened to him in like years. He kind of repeating himself about raspberry iced tea, but in the beginning, huge into him.
I feel like everybody that kind of starts the podcasting finds their way into politics, and then you either go hard into it or you work your way back out of it.
So we had a guy who used to work with us. You remember Oatley?
Yes.
So he came in, and he used to do a freight channel. Like, he used to do a freight show, like a freight broker, independent guy show. And he got some good traction with it, so we brought him on board over at Freightwaves. But then when he got here, he just didn't mesh. Chemistry wasn't there. He didn't get along with the program. It just didn't work out. And he was also trying to commute from, like, Tampa.
Yeah.
Or, no, Port St. Lucie. He was trying to
Port St.
commute
Lucie.
to work from Port St. And we're in Chattanooga, man.
Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, you got to like figure out a different way. So it didn't work out, but he ended up he brought that over to YouTube. And I was watching his channel because I was curious like how he was going to grow it, what he was going to do, and he ended up getting deeper and deeper into the right-wing politics.
Yeah.
And then like just full like Warren MAGA. And he had to, because you could see what happened is that he saw his viewership grow, but when he tried to reflexively go back to freight, the audience wouldn't let him. All the YouTube commenters would like freak out on him. And it was just like, you have to be like hard line of this version of the party, or you'll like lose your viewership and people turn on you. It's weird. You have to serve that master, which you always do with an audience. But I find with politics, like it really, you have to. If
There's
you're
no moderate.
Being smart, you have to make a conscious decision if you want to walk down that road or not.
Yeah, nobody knows anyone who's moderate because the only people you know about are the people that are far right, far left.
Yeah.
You know, and the best minds are in the middle somewhere. They're in the middle somewhere.
Which most of us are, but like a lot of moderates, you almost get afraid of talking about it because then you don't make enemies on both sides.
Yep.
Because no matter you're just like, I just want to do by my own moral compass what I think is right, which steps on both sides.
Right.
Because I don't agree with what you think here, and I don't agree with what you think here.
Yeah.
That's tough. And we are a minority. It's like moderates are like what 26% of the voting pool.
Yeah. Well, if you look at Rogan, I mean, he claims to be moderate, but like they'll soundbite him on hard right, hard left, and they'll play him against each other.
Sure, when they force you
guy.
into it. Yeah,
the one guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, a lot of what he was saying, and I don't want to get all into like the vaccine and all that stuff, but some of what he was saying was at least, I think, fair enough to have a discussion about.
Yeah.
Like the safety of vaccines and stuff, and I think that's why people got like so scared when you have the government talking about like a ministry of truth or something like that, because we all saw what happened. And granted, like there's a lot of disinformation online, but the government itself gives out a lot of disinformation. So now they're like the purveyors of, I don't know, like that. Sketch.
And they prove it's disinformation by saying it was misinformation.
They can't even like, and I don't want to go against party because I think all parties are
terrible,
are negative. Like they're bad. I have a negative impression of both. But like the White House, right after that, they're like, we were the ones who put out the vaccines. Like the vaccine was out when Trump was in office. Like what?
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about.
That was not that long ago that people forgot already.
Yeah, like trying to rewrite history.
Yeah, they're They're revisionists. They're revisionists trying to put their own political spin on things. You guys are getting dangerous.
Oh yeah,
you're getting dangerously close.
We're getting in the danger in the danger zone. Pull me back, Ethan. We did during COVID, man. We'd go hard in here, just straight conspiracy theories. And politics.
Yeah, sure.
What do you guys think about conspiracy theories?
I
think they're right.
Well, it depends. I thought some I think are fine, right? The only thing that I thought was where it got really insane was there was two incidents. One was Sandy Hook, obviously, where people are like harassing people's families who lost their children.
Sure.
Right? That, to me, was messed up. And the other one was the Boston Marathon bombing. There's this big conspiracy that went out. Our dance instructor, Adrian Hazlitt, my wife and I were getting married around this time, our dance instructor lost her goddamn foot at that thing, you know?
Oh, really?
And I was, like, going hard. Honestly, I was going for a while. I was going hard at, like, the conspiracy theories online. Because, like, this is my city. This happened. Our dance instructor lost her foot. This 5-year-old died down the street. So, for me, it was very personal.
What was the conspiracy about it?
What was the it was like set up by the government and Dejuk. I'm not even gonna say the dude's name. He was too good looking to be a terrorist.
Okay.
They couldn't. People come up with anything, and then they take all these pictures out of context and they put little red circles around stuff, and they try to make it out to be a
Next
theory.
thing you know, there's a grassy knoll.
But the problem is, there's tons of real conspiracies out there.
I got 3 I love.
There's tons of real ones.
I got 3 I love. We'll see if we agree. You guys can
hear 'em.
shoot them down or not.
Let's hear it.
I love 9/11. I love 9/11. I love How did I just lose that?
Gunner,
Roswell?
can you rephrase that for me? Because
Yeah.
I don't think that's how you should phrase that.
What do you mean?
I love 9/11.
Don't soundbite that. We're not going to clip that. I love the conspiracy of 9/11, Area 51, and JFK getting killed.
Yeah.
That's the three I like.
I mean, I think when you
You think all three of them are related?
I don't think they're related.
That's
unless
I
you
think
start
if
out with the
throw
aliens.
If you throw Sasquatch in there, I think it's all.
Yeah,
linked. It's all linked.
I definitely think that, and I guess the conspiracy is like that there was controlled demolition in the towers, and then with JFK is like there was either more than one shooter or that wasn't the right guy. It wasn't the one bullet that went into two people, and then with Area 51, I think there definitely may have been aliens. That's the three that I think kind of happened.
I'll give you aliens.
All right.
I'm not really going to give you 9/11. Where I go on that, that happened when I was like 20 years old.
Sure.
Saw that the morning, like when it happened. All the footage.
Watched it live.
And I also saw what happened politically right afterwards. And the real conspiracy there, and I think people were getting distracted by holograms and like these really crazy spare change or whatever that movie was, that put out there, when I think the real conspiracy is what happens very often is that people in power are corrupt and they take situations like this and they exploit them to their furthest extent. And they subjugate people and their will based upon these terrible incidents. So we saw that with like the Patriot Act and with Iraq and what followed through. And I mean, the conspiracies don't always have to be like the most like extreme, craziest, improbable situation possible. It's just the evil nature of man.
I just thought, like, if you look at the towers falling, I just thought it was weird that they went down in what looked like controlled demolition off a plane crash. And, I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen. It 100% happened. I'm saying the way it went down, I think it was kind of helped. And then Tower 7, which never really gets talked about, also fell down the same way and wasn't necessarily close to the towers and never got hit. So that's the one that's like, what happened? So it makes you scratch your head a little bit. And then with anyways, I go conspiracies all day.
I'm with you on Area 51.
You're all aliens?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. But
I've seen a UFO.
I have
what?
I have too, and I've actually experienced time loss as well.
Huh?
Well, I've experienced time loss at parties.
Now we're getting somewhere. All right.
Yeah.
UFOs,
sure.
please. We'll go time loss next.
No, I was not intoxicated either.
So in San Clemente, California, this was like 2004. I'm on the beach with a bunch of buddies of mine. Now, there's a military there's a Marine base not that far away. But we're looking out at the sky. And granted, we're partying on the beach, but we understand what we're seeing. It's not like we're on acid and seeing like trails and stuff. This thing moved across the sky like it was a meteor, right? And it's going straight at first, and then it took a sharp left. It was like, boom, like an L. And it was like impossible move. Just physically impossible for that object to do that. Now, I don't know if that was aliens. I don't know if that was from the base over there. But I saw some of this guy do something that it should not be able to do. That's all I know.
That's awesome. Crazy. This time loss, or you saw a UFO too?
Yeah, well, I've seen the same movement that he's seen in the sky, where it makes that move, right? And when I was younger, in my teens, not under any influence, so I've seen that and I've experienced watching that. But I had time loss in the mid '90s. I was working at Roadway Express. I was in central Pennsylvania, and I was running 5 different terminals at the time, right? So none of them had. I was the only manager for all 5 of them. So I had to cover inbound shifts and outbound shifts. So I was running all over central Pennsylvania. So I run into my home base office at about 1:30 in the morning, right, to get some paperwork and stuff. And then I was heading out to Johnstown because I had to be there in order to open up the facility because I had a supervisor that was out. I go inside. Power goes out, right? Power comes back on. 47 minutes had gone by on my watch and on the clock on the wall, but not in my car. And I was actually still on time. Reality of time was that 47 minutes did not go by. But it did on my watch, and it did on the clocks inside of the facility.
And in your manager's mind, I got to imagine, right?
What? So yeah, that kind of freaked me out a little bit.
So I've never heard of time loss being a thing.
I saw an Unsolved Mysteries on it once. There was this like Air Force guy. He thought he was at a payphone, and then this is like late 1980s Unsolved Mysteries. Robert Stack, a little before your time.
I have to check that
but
out.
No, I remember that.
But
that's what it was. I mean, it was and it wasn't like my watch was off time because the clock on the wall, which also was not plugged in. It was, I mean, it was plugged into the wall, but it wasn't, I mean, this was the mid-'90s, man. It wasn't like they weren't connected to the internet.
You guys ever
seen
seen
like that,
Yeah.
right?
Did you ever see Fire in the Sky? That's probably like
Yeah.
the best alien abduction
Sure.
movie that's ever come out.
Sure.
Supposedly based
Is that
on
the
a
one
true
about
story.
the couple that...
No, these guys go out in the woods.
Oh,
this movie
yeah,
came
yeah.
out in maybe 1992.
I've never
These
seen it.
guys,
About to watch it tonight.
So yeah, watch it. It's called Fire in the Sky. This group of guys go out into the woods to go hunt or I forget exactly why they're in the woods. There's a hunt or camp or whatever the fuck guys go in the woods to look for porn in the hollow of a tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
They still
that
have
since
that?
I was
don't know
about
if they
8.
have that. Yeah, I haven't found a porno
Not
magazine. in
not
the
since
hollow
I've
of a
been about
tree.
10.
Died
Yeah.
in the 90s.
Yeah,
been a
with
long
a good,
time.
a nice warm can of Blatz.
There was an art to it. There was an art to finding that in trees. You'd have to go, like in the suburbs, you'd go to sort of like where there's like just a little bit of backdrop of woods behind suburban houses.
Yeah.
And there's guaranteed, like on almost every block, some dad, for whatever reason, decides that, like, why was that a thing? Did they tell dads to hide their stash in trees?
I always I didn't know if it was dads or not because sometimes you'd find out like a warm beer in there. I don't know if it was
you
other
think it was
kids like
kids?
stealing it and hiding it in a
it from the
tree.
dad.
Ooh, yeah.
Because we'd find like a warm Schlitz, malt liquor bull, or something stupid like that inside there, and of course we'd drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have the same hollow, but that would be weird if we did. Imagine if that was like just the mythical.
Yeah, time
Corn
loss.
tree
Time
hollow.
loss into it.
I remember hearing some people sound like Southies coming from inside that tree.
Uh-oh.
But either way, the guy gets abducted. He claims it was a true story. There's actually a book about it, and he saw like kind of the aliens you always see, the very classic, like tan-ish one
Yeah.
with the big circle eyes. Yeah, it's a good movie though.
Dude, I like that alien stuff. I definitely think we're not the only people here on the universe,
Oh, yeah, that'd be very arrogant.
Law
to
of
think that.
averages. I don't think you can scientifically say that we're not. That's crazy.
Right.
To think that, right?
You-
That's how big it is.
Seem unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, there's...
I think the obvious answer is that ghosts, aliens, and Sasquatch are all really the same thing, and they're interconnected with the crop circles.
So...
No, I
know and you also got... So, Sasquatch, I believe, is...
it's an alien spirit is what it is.
We saw a pink one when we were
What's the
driving
big monkey?
Yeah.
What's the big monkey that Sasquatch, I think, is?
Monkeypox.
What is it? Can you pull it up?
King
Scott?
King
I'll
Kong?
look it up for
King
you.
Kong.
There's an
King
actual
Kong.
monkey or gorilla or some type of an ape that is extinct now that I
You
think...
talking about Steve Cox? Are you starting to try some logistics?
And here we go with the
going on
Steam stuff. Here we go with Steam. But and I think that is what the Sasquatch story is. It's just been retold over and over and over and over, and that's the mythology of it. And I think that's what people say.
But why does there have to be a Sasquatch? Like with zero, like why would we assume that there's a Sasquatch?
Why not?
Because there's no, like, couldn't it just be a bear or something? Like you showed me that picture on a trail cam, and that looked like a guy in a gorilla mask,
No, that
or
was
an actual gorilla.
That was real, dude.
That was a gorilla.
I don't know what the
It
hell
looked
that was.
exactly like a gorilla.
You got the monkey up yet?
Gigantopithecus.
Okay, you guys look that up when you get a chance.
All right.
I'm gonna pull it up on my phone just so I can get it here. Go ahead.
Is that like Megalodon shark or something? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, so that's for sure the same.
So I got a picture. My daughter took a picture like 4 or 5 years ago on the Ocoee, and there was absolutely behind her a Sasquatch jumping over a boulder, like jumping off a boulder onto another one. It was a perfect picture of one. It was absolutely perfect, dead clear as a bell. But then when you zoomed in, it was just a really, really well placed shadow. But man, if without zooming in digitally, it was beautiful.
I thought he was going to say it got deleted during that time jump in his car.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean,
The aliens realized I saw that Sasquatch and deleted it.
okay, so this right here is actually a real monkey.
Okay.
That was back in the day, right? It's extinct now, but that's a proven thing.
How did you prove that?
I mean, it's just they got like the skeletons of it and stuff. Like,
Oh, okay.
It's a reconstruction of the Giganta whatever.
Did they find some hair and stuff like that? They knew it was hairy like that in the color?
I guess so. Just coming from the ape family.
Or they just kind of guess like with the dinosaurs?
So at the Hunter Museum. So
Are you a
I was-
dinosaur fan or no?
Yeah, I'm sure there's some mistakes, but yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They look like chicken. It's not like lizards.
No, yeah, they're much
Right.
more like chickens. than
There's a fantasy exhibit going on over at the Hunter Museum down there, and I think like June 20th or June 21st, they have a Bigfoot expert there. So if you're really interested,
An expert, bro.
an expert.
You know what's crazy? Think about this. How much money has been made by finding Bigfoot shows? I think we're on like season 27, episode 1 billion.
I've
Yeah.
still-
And nobody's even seen a glimpse.
No, and every time they say, you hear that howl? can't hear it.
Yeah.
No how.
Yeah.
That was clear as a bell.
They have it on
don't
video,
hear.
and they have to put a special type of video recorder on the video and play it extra loud for you to even kind of hear it.
It's a work, brother. I got the Bigfoot shows are a work.
They're
the ghost shows are a work.
And they got me
Now,
for
there
like
may be
17
ghosts, and
seasons.
there may be Bigfoot, but like I believe in energy. I think there's like I don't know if I believe in like I don't believe in like a Casper the Ghost or something like that. But I definitely believe that there's energy, there's remnant energy, there's rooms have weird vibes.
Okay.
Just like some people have weird vibes. Some
I've
animals
ghost
have
stories
weird
too,
vibes,
man.
right? I mean, like there's definitely places that feel
I've witnessed ghosts
eerie.
too.
I don't know if they're actually ghosts.
And like I think a lot of these stories also come from people.
I'm not saying there's
that,
not ghosts. There could be ghosts.
I've witnessed spiritual activity around me, directed at me.
Well, I got to ask you something because I'm a lapsed Catholic. I haven't gone to church in a long time. But
I'm a recovering Catholic.
You're a little closer to the church than me. So in order to believe in God, you have to believe in ghosts.
We have to believe in spirits for sure.
Yeah, right?
Well,
literally in the
yeah.
spirituality, right?
Sure.
So everyone who believes, but would you say everyone's a Christian believes in ghosts?
No.
Yeah,
not
right?
in the way we've kind of commercialized them.
But didn't they? I
Right?
swear I've seen like a poll before that like 40% of Americans believe in fairies or something. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, isn't it like Iceland
they
or somewhere
really- do you
that
believe
you
in
have to
fairies?
act? There's a ministry of like elves that comes out before you can perform any construction, and they have to survey the land to make sure there's no elf homes there.
What?
Well,
It's like
there
Iceland.
is-
or
in
something.
Iceland
Look
does,
that up.
yeah.
It's like Iceland or some shit.
So I think I know what you're talking about. It's in one of those Nordic countries.
Yeah.
But fairy circles where mushrooms will come up in a circle, like a perfect circle.
Yeah.
You can't demolish those and remove those without government order.
Okay. Is that what it is?
When is
Something
ABC
like that.
putting out a new album anyway?
But those are the best shrooms to get, dude.
Exactly.
I think a lot of these stories come from people that were on shrooms and other type of those drugs.
Well, if you
that
think about
might-
like Phenom, right? Before like Phenomenon, before you like had tons of written works and video and everything was like campfire tales, and you had to make things interesting. Of course, you're gonna be like, yeah,
Oh yeah, you
totally
got to throw
saw
a
fucking
fairy in a
ghost.
Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Guy came
saw
out of
this.
a burning bush and threw
Yeah.
a lightning spear at me.
Well,
Like,
they say the burning bush was it DMT?
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean,
You never know. It'd been a great time back in the day.
How about all the stories that were told in history just to get people not to go somewhere?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Like the bullshit mythology and lore you'd make up. So it'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, there's awesome. Like,
You don't want to go there because there's sirens.
well,
there.
Iceland,
They'll-
Greenland,
they'll-
you name them. They called Iceland because it was the good one. They called Greenland because it was the shit one. So that other people are like, oh, I gotta go check it. They would go to the wrong one.
That makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah.
That's what
A
happened
little
to me.
misdirection.
Reverse psychology there makes a lot
Son
of
of
sense.
a bitch. That's what happened to me.
That's what got you in the time lapse.
Got me, bastards.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people I think that like are trying to like create their like persona like on LinkedIn and logistics scene. They kind of forget that a little bit.
Yeah. What would you give them advice to do?
Well, I don't know. I got to think about that. Believe in ghosts?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have an open mind, man.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it's just that a lot of times people think that they got to sort of, I don't know,
Be professional.
professional. Yeah.
That's what I got away from.
Yeah.
Good move, dude.
It's like, fuck it. You
Yeah.
gonna get me from me.
Yeah.
If you don't like me,
yeah,
don't work with me.
absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
My dad wore a suit for 75 years. No,
Right.
you don't want to do
And then all these guys that do that, they're all fake, and it comes off fake. Like I can see some of my buddies that are doing
Yeah.
these videos, and they're literally like reading from their notes on their computer, and they're talking like this, very monotone. They're like, please buy from me. Thank you, bye." And it's like, Jesus Christ.
That's one of the reasons I hate sending questions in advance, especially to people who you know they're going to be like calling in from their office,
Right.
and it's a really big company, and they kind of have to toe some lines.
Yeah.
Because you give them the questions, then they end up writing them. They write answers, right? And then
Right.
they'll read an answer to you,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this is terrible for me. And like as the producer in my head, I'm like, this is terrible for the audience too.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Well, pre-show production on it for What the Truck, Dooner and I will stay away from certain topics and certain things that are going to be on the show just to make sure that it's not.
Well, you should.
Yeah,
You know, you
absolutely. We want to get, have that real.
Right, absolutely.
Reaction.
I don't like asking questions before people come on either.
No.
And I don't like being asked questions. Somebody asks me, I'm like, we're good, we're improv, we'll go with it. I'm a pro wrestler, we're good. You know,
That's
but
what I say too. I'm like, I did improv, and like the nature of conversation is curiosity. And if I'm not curious about you and you're not curious about
Yeah.
me, what's the audience have left?
right. And it's all questions. I mean, sales is questions too. I've learned a lot. Podcasting has helped me, even my wrestling promos, but podcasting has helped me in sales more than anything. And it's just being able to talk to guests for 1 to 2 to 3 hours and be able to keep conversations going and keep them talking.
Follow different directions or rabbit holes too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and when you're podcasting, like there's always those times when the hamster wheel just starts moving, and you're like, "What? That actually happened like a minute ago." I'm like, "What were we just talking about?"
Oh, every show I get like deja vu where it's like, and I have no clue what I just said.
My brain is empty. Like my brain is literally empty for a moment. There's
I was like,
no
I like
thoughts.
3 conspiracies, and I was like, 1, I don't know any of them. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, I used to have 3.
When that happens, I'll like frantically look at him and I'll speak with my eyes.
Right, like, help me.
You look at
help
me and I'll go.
Well, no, the other thing that happens is sometimes like when you have to live produce, like something will happen. Like like you'll get production will be like a guest isn't coming in, but you don't have information why or when. So I type in Slack, and I can't listen and type at the same time.
Right.
Like I have no ability whatsoever.
Yeah.
I can only do it one way. So you like,
and there it went, right there. Boom.
No, there's entire conversation.
No, there's times where I'll just pick up and keep talking and going through, and I'll just jump in and keep going until he's back.
Right.
But a lot of times there's that message on my screen that says, "What the fuck did you just ask him?" I had to point to because he's dealing with something that is very, very important.
Yeah. I mean, Ethan have a very similar process.
Yeah.
He knows when I have no clue what I'm talking about, and he'll be like, and he'll kind of like pull me in back into my
There's that,
my
you
lane.
don't hear anybody talking, you go, yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
and,
and it's funny, like the little words you can find to carry conversations on, and I've started to use kind of reverse psychology. I'll start using like, you wouldn't be opposed to answering some questions, and everybody's like, no, I wouldn't be opposed, because everybody wants to say no first. So if you ask somebody, you wouldn't be opposed, right? I'm probably going to say no. But that really means yes, you know.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. You know, my advice was don't front. So, like some of the people who are trying to create these shows, like we're creating freight shows. Don't front so hard.
No,
there's people out there that like the top show in the world and shit. It's like we're in freight.
Yeah,
the best show in freight is on every morning at 10:30.
Right, yeah, shout out. So I mean, but the freight for real, like, what does every brokerage like push? Listen, you can wear whatever Hawaiian shirt Fridays, beer at 3:30, wear whatever you want to. If you want to wear sandals, shorts, tank tops, work out at our place. It's like a frat house. Like that's what every brokerage is, trying to be successful now modernly is doing. Why not bring that audience to your show? And that's what you guys are trying to do, like the barstool aspect of Freightwaves and What the Truck. It's awesome.
Well, I think the idea too, like the philosophy early on was to do a variety show and have a show where Jet McCandless, the CEO founder of a billion-dollar company like a unicorn like Project 44, can be on there, but so can a truck driver, like a first-year truck driver, and they can tell their
same
story.
Show.
And then a guy playing a song or a musician showing off their talent that they also bring into the field, and someone behind a desk. Because it's just these stories never get told. Like people just don't have those kind of conversations. So many shows are just like, what's happening in the freight market?
Bill Drieger, founder of
it's not boring,
Uber
but it's
Freight,
boring
right?
to talk about constantly, endlessly, all the time.
Look at Sonar Dad or Truck Stop or something. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Not that hard to figure out what's going on in the freight market.
Well,
Call one truck driver in one market. You know what's going on.
After 7 minutes, the show would be over.
Right.
We'd be like, rejects for this, that, and then like, so that can't be the show.
But everybody just keeps talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No capacity out of this area right here. Don't stay away from these right here. The ports are busy. No shit. The ports are busy. Or they're backlogged. Or like listen to the like God.
What do you think? Where do you think we are by December? Do you think things like because this argument's been raging, right? That freight market depression's going to happen. Other ones are like, nah, everything's fine. To me, it's like, all right, I'm looking at the freight data, but even like if I didn't have freight data, I would just look at my own portfolio. I would look at Robinhood, and I would look at the things that fueled the confidence in my own spending.
Yeah.
Not that like this Robinhood money or Dogecoin gave me money to spend. It's just when you see your portfolio is up 37%, and you're on Amazon, you're sitting there, and you're locked down from COVID or whatever. You're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to buy that Lego set, or I'm going to buy that weight set, or I'm going to buy this piece of crap, or I'm going to buy this shirt. And you buy so much garbage because then you get like the dopamine rush of buying and then it coming to the door. But now like it's not like that. Like I look in my portfolio and it's like down 37%.
Everything's down.
Everything's
you look
down.
on Amazon, you go, nah,
so
maybe someday.
I posted this the other day, and there was a guy, Jason Miller, I think.
Yeah.
Michigan State.
He's coming on right after the first week of July, or maybe first week of August, when I guess when the recession reports come out, because we were down in the GDP this past quarter. So if we go down this quarter, we're officially for like the first time in a recession, right?
All indicators
statistically,
would say we're going to be.
You need to challenge Jason Miller to a recession on a pole match because he is obsessed with the idea that there's no recession, everything's fine.
That's what I keep saying,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you gotta just have a match, put the recession on a pole, like Judy Bagwell or whatever, and have a match with him.
Yeah,
and
that would not work out well for him. Not work out well for him.
No.
We team recession would win. All right?
I think so.
But yeah, he keeps saying something about like the retail spend report or something, and I'm like, how long has a retail spend report even been a thing, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we can do the recession all the way back, all the way from all the way. So look at that data, and you can tell this is going into like a 1980 mixed with like a 2008 2009 type of recession combining together.
Yeah.
And if you look for it in like the supply chain market, I think we'll be fine. But if you look at it as far as like inflation and retail, consumer spending is going to go up even on less amount of stuff just because it's going to cost more money to get the stuff there right now.
Well, there's where a lot of the spending costs are up. When you look at like orders and so on and housing spending and et cetera, is when you account for inflation, it's not all that great. Right. There are dollars up, but it's not units.
How about this conspiracy theory, right?
Ooh.
And I haven't done like a lot of research, but it could be a fun one.
All right, let's get in.
So over the past year, right? Great resignation. The big R word was a great employees finally getting power. Employees being able to dictate their terms. Employees being able to walk out of companies
empowerment of
easily.
drivers.
Everyone saw LinkedIn. Everyone had a new job. Every other person had a new job. Every other
Headhunters coming for everybody.
Nonstop. I was getting nonstop recruiting things.
Yep.
Jobs that didn't even make any sense.
Yep.
Well, the oligarchs of the world, they see this. They see people getting wealthy in Bitcoin and crypto and everything, and it's like, can't have that.
Yeah, shut it down.
People power? Nah, not on my watch.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess you started with a.
Is that a conspiracy or just a life?
Is that
fact?
just real? That's probably
That's
just a real fact.
real.
So you start it with a sickness, and then it goes into a shutdown, and then it starts a supply chain crisis, and then it starts going into the financial markets.
But the only reason I can't start there at the sickness is because the sickness is what almost made like that resignation. Because so many people fired people.
No, well,
That's
this
what
is where
created
you
that great
said
resignation like economy.
Yeah.
It was the buying and the market and people being like, oh, okay, I can. Not only did they fire us, and everyone saw what companies did to people in 2020, but they're like, okay, let's use this mobility to go somewhere else.
Yep.
The only thing is, though, I feel like a lot of those jumpers, they're going to be the first ones out of the boat when
new
all
ones.
these cuts are happening.
Oh, absolutely. You have no tenure. You've got no
Well,
tenure.
and then the new companies, like the companies you need to go back to, they're gonna be like, yeah, I mean, we would bring you back, but I mean, you've jumped 3 companies in 2 years.
There's
that
a lot
might
of that
happen.
on LinkedIn.
There's a lot of that.
A lot of people like.
But it's not even like 3, and it's not even like it's all like vertical moves that don't make much sense, really.
It's like you're just gonna go 9 months, and there a lot of them are startups too, and it's like,
Yep.
So you keep leaving, not getting equity.
You're not going to good companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and
You're
you're
probably
getting
not making strong relationships, jumping every 9 months. You're not like making friends with founders or CEOs.
Well, and
Right.
you're walking in. You're jumping into a place where you're brand new, and you're also at an inflated salary because those salaries were huge. Some of the people that were getting. I mean, relative to what they were making before.
Yes. When you have people getting
You're the highest
California,
priced low man on the pole.
getting California and Florida salaries to work remote in Chattanooga.
Yeah.
People like that. I know people that were like that. They're
Sure.
like, I'm getting paid, market value for working in Miami, but I'm in Chattanooga doing the same thing that I would be doing. I'm like,
Who is that? Who is that? There was like an icon of the pandemic. There was that guy who supposedly had 6 jobs. He posted on Reddit. He was like an engineer, and he had 6 jobs, and he just automated everything.
oh my God.
I don't know.
Like 6 different jobs that he was automating?
Yeah, they were all just like remote, like data jobs, and he was just automating it or paying people on Fiverr to do the manual stuff. And he just started. He was like brokering. He was like double brokering his work.
Hey, why not? Dude, you could sign a virtual assistant from like Thailand for something for like $300 a week
There's
or a
so
month.
much sketchy concepts we learn in the world of freight. Like, why do we apply these to the
Yeah.
rest of our
We should
lives?
just-
We should double broker more stuff.
Let's
Double
get Trey
broker
Griggs on the
everything.
phone and get lean staffing in here. Let's figure this out.
I'm going on Trey's show here soon. What is double broken? Let's talk about that. Do you guys
Make him rap.
make him rap?
Yeah.
Oh,
He can
he's
rap?
oh
Make him
yeah,
rap.
he can.
He
How
will
about-
rap at the drop of a hat.
Can you beatbox?
I'll do a not very well.
So what? He'll rap something for you too.
I'll do like a promo battle, and I'll say you got to be Cena, Thugonomics Cena, and he could do a rap battle with me.
Yeah.
I love the idea.
That'd be cool, right?
I love the idea.
Where was I going with that? I was about to go somewhere before we said
You
Trey
were.
Griggs.
You were going.
Huh? The what? Double brokering.
Double broker your life.
Yeah. What do you guys think about double brokering in general?
Well, don't double broker your girl.
I'm for it.
That's not good.
You don't want to do
Yeah.
that. Double brokering in general. Well, you know what? Sometimes those relationships exist because they exist. Like, they're not always nefarious. The term double brokering isn't always necessarily bad, but what is
Yeah, it's
bad
not illegal.
is when you put the identity theft component in
Yes.
there and you put the shady component where companies are not open about the relationships they have with other companies that they're brokering to.
Right,
That's where it can
yes.
get sketched, and it can go way down the pole to just like basically normal business practice to like all the
Right.
way dirtbag.
Well, I guess it's like if you're getting loads off dad or something. You're like, yeah, I have a truck. I'm the truck driver, and I'm going to do it right here. And it's like, and then go broker it out to whoever. That's not good. If you say, don't broker my load, and you go broker it.
Exactly.
But I think co-brokering has a great place in logistics.
A lot of brokers do it. I mean, it's
we
very
do a lot of it.
accepted practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
But it's sort of a known practice. I mean, like, it's sort of like when you get a mortgage, you know that the mortgage company you go to, the lender, is not the same person that's going to carry your mortgage in 2 months. I mean, these are sort of business practices. But, like, they can also be done terribly. Like, double brokering, not necessarily a negative term, but can be.
Right. I wonder why so many companies that are brokers don't like the idea of double brokering, to even bring it up as like a sales pitch. Because I've pitched it to people, and they're like, nope, we don't do that. Won't do it. Absolutely
I think the term
not.
has a stigma, right? I mean, the term has a big stigma.
Then you use like co-brokering, and it's like, well, we could maybe do that.
Well,
it's
look
like,
at it
it's
this
the
way.
same thing.
So
It's the exact same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But you're coming and calling on, so Vince and I have, like, What the Truck, the apparel company. You're trying to get our freight, right? And we're sitting here, and you talk about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that for you. And we get to the point of the conversation where you mention, and it's going to go to whatever we think trucking company is best, you might get some pushback.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I thought I was working with you.
If it's a safety valve for you and you mention it as something, I'm never going to drop your loads because I'm going to broker this stuff here, but I do have co-brokering arrangements here in case I have to go out to these safety valves and grab them. That, to me, sounds like a legitimate solution to where I'm not going to have to worry about you dropping my freight. But you're just saying, hey, I co-broker all the time. It's like, okay, I need somebody who's like stable too.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? It
I'm
kind of
with you.
lends that unstable.
Like we have our
It's
network.
how you present it, and like Dooner said, it's the nefarious activities that are
There's
surrounding
companies.
it. And sometimes
There's companies. There's one that actually Rooster just reported on backthetruckup.com about the ones that were stealing carrier identities. They were taking DOT and MC numbers, and they were creating a fake version of carriers that already existed.
Right.
And they were co-brokering that way so people wouldn't know that they were the source of the brokerage. So that, for example, is like the super negative side of
Similar has happened to us.
Well, and what happens, too, is it's not like someone goes out and they're like, all right, I'm just going to do it to one or two companies. There was a guy last year in a story by Clarissa Hawes that he had 600 different shell companies that were being created by these two guys.
Jeez.
These two guys. Because they get shut down a lot, too, but not easy enough.
Yeah, they can get away with it for a while.
well, it's too easy to get another MC and
Well,
keep rolling.
Yeah.
No, I haven't been in a load board personally and booked a load in a while.
Yeah.
Because I've been on doing this stuff. What is like the security on a load board like DAT right now for setting up? Is there 2 factors or anything like that, or is it pretty easy to?
I mean, I'd guess as long as you have all your information and your numbers,
all it is, right?
You just plug it in,
Enter
you get an account,
There's
pay
so
for it, and you're good. They just want your money. They don't really care
Yeah.
what's safe and not. They just want your money.
So, like when I was a kid,
So many instances there can't be a 2-factor.
So there used to be this thing called AOL, and when I was 18, it was this.
Know
was
it
like,
well.
This when I was like 15 or 14. This was like mid 90s, right? And there was a software you could download, and it would give you a fake account on AOL, and it would last maybe like a day or two. At first, when it came out, it would last like a while.
Right.
Then it would last like a day or two. But you could come with all these like these fake names and fake accounts, and it sounds like on the load boards, it's like just they might get shut down pretty quickly, and that's why the guys are making 600 of them. But like, it doesn't seem like there's great security.
Yeah, there's not. I don't know if there's anybody out there really combating that or not. Or
There's not like
There's some neighborhoods out by Bensonville, Illinois, on the west side of Chicago,
we
where
don't have
there's
great-
like 17 MC numbers per block.
yeah, it's like all the PO box at the post office.
Our tech had been way behind in freight. Like our internet infrastructure for a lot of companies is terrible. There's sitting ducks out there for like cyber attacks.
Oh yeah. If people really knew what they wanted to get out of them, they could take them.
Oh, they absolutely could.
Stay
Couldn't
away-
back in the day
stay
when
away,
we
hackers.
we sent Twixes through the AS400. Is how we used to communicate before. Yeah, to communicate a hot load. You communicated through the AS400. You sent a hot load, and it printed on a dot matrix printer across the country, and someone would come by every half hour and tear them down.
Yeah.
And it put them in a little cubby hole, and then somebody would go grab the cubby hole. And so if you had hot shipment, that's how you did it. And hopefully they read it within a day or two to move it.
I guess
That's how we did in the 80s.
was brokering a thing in like the 90s, the early 90s?
Not much, no. Not that I know of.
From what I know, I guess when you look at like the explosion of brokering blew up kind of post Katrina. Is that about right? Or like the recession, the 2008, 2009, that's when brokering kind of blew up?
No, I mean, when I started in the industry
Earlier
in
than that.
2005, that was
It was 2000.
It was already blown up
Yeah,
at that point?
Well, I don't know, blowing up, but it was growing. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, I was like, my little world was FedEx Trade Networks dealing with imports and exports for Reebok, but there were plenty of brokers out there.
But it was there was plenty of them out there, but it was still I had a CFO in 2007 who just told me that I was insane thinking that somebody would actually pay somebody else to book a trailer because I wanted to start brokering at our previous life, and he just argued with me constantly. There's no way. I'm like, but it's like a $10 billion company or industry already.
I've had asset guys tell me like, so wait a minute, you go to a customer and you tell them you can move their freight and you don't have any trucks?
Yeah.
I'm like,
I call you.
I go, yeah. And they go, but why do they give you the freight? And I go, because when y'all are looking for extra freight, y'all call companies like us. And he was like, never thought of it that way. I was like, what? How else does it work? I mean, how else would you think about it? How do you think we get our freight? We make it? Like some asset guys didn't even, like it was that kind of dumbfounding to them.
What do you think about those guys that throw an MC number on the side of a pickup truck and say they're asset-based?
I mean, get you a hot shot, now you're an asset-based brokerage, baby.
Right?
Well, I mean, one of the themes that were like, up until maybe a couple months ago, I haven't heard it as much. We were hearing about a bunch of 3PLs, and we'd have 3PLs come on the show, and they're like, we're
buying assets.
Thousands of trailers. We're getting assets now.
That's
and
the
we
new
would
thing.
always be like, usually you stay out of assets because they can be tough. And I actually worked for a company that had it was a brokerage. They bought a trucking company because they thought they could make more money. They couldn't. Running a trucking company is a lot different than clearing entries.
Yeah.
It's also not good for your valuation and your multiple when you go to sell the business.
Yeah, I wonder,
assets are not positive.
You got to separate it.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to start dumping those assets. I mean, this business moves so fast. People, if they're new to this, they don't realize how quickly companies react to capacity. On the ocean, they do it by blanking sailings. In trucking, they do it just by selling equipment.
I would say the biggest play in logistics, and this, who am I, right, whatever. But like the biggest play in logistics would be if you were extremely liquid and had a bunch of money in the bank and didn't just have, spending your money everywhere, buying as many trailers or leasing as many trailers coming up for the next 12 to 18 months is going to be where you could go in and get those big enterprise accounts. Because they don't care about what truck picks it up. They just care about, do you have a trailer for me to load this thing? You can drop it on. If you can drop trailers on a yard and then power only people to come get them, that's the play. So the people have the money to do that. That's the play. Even we saw a customer yesterday that was power only in like boat trailers. Like they'd make the boat. Well, is Malibu. So they make the boats, and they if you buy a Malibu boat, you get a Malibu boat trailer. So how they ship it is you either come pick it up if you want to as a customer, or if you're from California, inside their shipping cost, it's just they pay a power only driver to come in there with a 350 and drive to California.
Oh, nice.
That's how that works.
Wow. So how have your customers like changed over the past few months as capacities opened up? Have demands changed?
It's just a little more contractual. Like it's not as much spot based. Like the spot boards, asset carriers were so often giving back freight or denying freight because they were locked into such low rates from 2020 and 2021 from the market was down, and then it blew up. So then, you could go in and you could spot market a lot of stuff and get dedicated stuff away from the carriers. So we actually got, our fourth season is what I like to call it. We just got our first dedicated freight awarded to us this year. And it was from knowing, that we went in and we were accepting freight that asset carriers were not taking for the past 2 years. And now we come in and we're still higher than those assets, but they're like, man, those assets didn't take care of us during COVID and during the pandemic and when everything was crazy. You guys came in here and took care of us during that time. So here's your award. And they give us legit dedicated business and on top of our spot freight, which has carried our business for the past 2-3 years.
See, that's a type of philosophy you can do when you're a startup in a smaller company.
Yep.
Right? You can make those type of smart decisions to go with those partnerships and keep that rate and then get that type of business.
Yep.
And doing that gives you stickiness through tough times.
Right.
Right? Because you're not going to lose it. They're still going to pay you the higher rate.
It's a market, right? Like any financial market, it's going to go up and down. I know the big I guess the big debate is like drivers just chase the money, right? The owner operators just chase the money and they blow the market up. And it's like when the market's bad for the drivers, the brokers are just making all the money. They're making all the money. It's like that's not really the case. Like the shippers kind of dictate what the money is, and they kind of see the market. They're just always going to be a little bit behind when it changes. So there's going to be that little bit of lag, that 6-month lag, where if the market flips into now it's a broker's market, you're going to make $400-$600 bangers for the next 6 months, and your profit margins go up, and now you're going to be like, we got to hire 10, 20, 30,000 people right now. We got to hire, and then you start hire, and then it's like, oh, the shippers figured it back out. They're wanting to redo their contracts. They're wanting to, okay, now dedicated carriers don't get it. They're just putting their stuff out on the spot board because the spot board's cheaper than the dedicated freight. And now they're starting to cause some controversy there because your relationship's not really as good as you thought it was with the customer. They're just trying to go out there for the transactional best dollar amount, which is best for them. And then that's when it's like, well, it flipped again.
Yeah.
And it flips back over, and the drivers are like, now we're making all the money. And it's like, damn, we can't get no freight with the brokers. Everybody's so expensive. And then the shipper's like, we'll just go direct to the assets. We want asset only. What happens if you don't have an asset? Then what do? We let the assets broker it out. Just let us broker it out. That's what we're better at. You know? So let the assets do assets, let the brokers do brokers. And if we just ride the market and kind of keep it the same the whole time, it wouldn't be crazy. But it's the left, the right, the extreme parallels that they drive the rates up and they drive the rates down. And brokers are at fault. We've done it in the past. And drivers are at fault. They've done it in the past. But everybody seems to work together, and this thing would work itself out, and everybody make money the entire time.
Yeah. February 2020 wasn't the brokers holding the gun to the driver's head saying, you have to take this for $1 a mile. It was their buddy next door taking it cheaper.
That's what it was.
That's what it was.
It's not like we were like beating people down on prices. Like we were able to jump in and help out our largest customer at the time because truck drivers are calling us being like, dude, I will run this for free. Like get me to Atlanta or get me to Memphis or get me to a good market. I'll go anywhere.
Give me my fuel.
Yeah, get me out of Florida for $0.01 a mile. It doesn't matter. But seriously, that's how the rates went down so quick. And then when they started to try to bring them back up, then that's when the larger brokers, the big brokers were like, you don't get to just, no, y'all are good down there. Y'all are obviously profitable down there. Well, just stay down there making your little bit. And then they were just like, halt.
Yeah, but with all that in mind, why did they ban Juul before they banned cigarettes?
I don't know. Now there's a conspiracy, my friend.
Because they said they were like,
because vaping just looks stupid, dude.
Yeah, Ethan.
Yeah, but it doesn't smell up the room or the person.
It still looks stupid. Are you a vapor, Ethan? Except for you, Ethan. You look cool.
Ethan can vape without annoying you just by doing
it.
Well,
I don't. Ethan doesn't strike me as the guy who's going to sit there and just vape up and then just release all the smoke like we used to do with a bong in college.
There's a cloud in your ass over there.
You know, watch how much smoke I can get out of this bong.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, Ethan, where are we at?
We are at an hour and 35 minutes.
What else you guys want? Anything else?
I think we're getting near the end.
Getting near the end?
Listen, Gunner, we already hit our topics. Aliens, conspiracy theories,
I've
a little bit of logistics.
I've went through about all of it, right? Oh, the Performance Center, the tryout. Y'all want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Tell us about the tryout.
Yeah, the combines, the wrestling combines.
Yeah, before we get out of this Hell in a Cell, you got us trapped in. Can you tell us a story about that?
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll finish up on that one. So my tryout was scheduled for December of 2013, right after football season. So I knew this going into it, so I was pretty much checked out. And then I hurt my neck again. When I say hurt, hairline fractured my neck, C5, C6 vertebrae, lost both my arms for 2 weeks. So I did spinal decompression from November through February. And then I wrestled like a impromptu kind of practice match here in town, my first like pro wrestling match, which drew a little over 700. And it was for a lady that Ron Hall, who was our PA announcer at UTC, his daughter had a diabetic problem and getting insulin pump. So we did it for her, and I kind of blew my debut for that to help raise money for that. So that was a big deal. And then my tryout was in June. So I went down to June. It was in Orlando, Florida. It was at the PC. This was 2014, so the PC had only been out like maybe a year or two, and there had only been like 1 or 2 tryouts prior to this one. So go down there. Everybody's there. Bill DeMott is the head coach at the time. Let's see. Norman Smiley was one of the coaches down there at the time. Tensai, Prince Albert, he was one of the coaches down. Matt Bloom was one of the coaches down there at that time. It was really cool. So you go down, and I was nervous, man. So I was right out of college, so 22, whatever I was. I was not ready for that tryout. I was physically ready for the tryout to perform. I wasn't where I am now. If I was where I am now and the athletic where I was then, I could have went in, boom, we're signed, we're ready to roll. But I just wasn't there charismatically and like being able to talk to people and like promos and stuff. And just the way I carried myself wasn't there yet. Went down there the first day. They wouldn't let me perform because they did a physical and they saw my neck was messed up. And they were like, what is that? And I was like, well, it's my neck. I have had problems. I'm cleared. They was like, where's your note? So I had to get in touch with my doctor. So I kept calling my doctor. And this is a Friday. So obviously he's not really paying attention to the phone, I guess. He picks the phone up late that night, finally get a hold of my trainer. He runs over there, gets a hold of him. They take all my medical papers, they fax them to WWE. So I watched the first day, which was miserable to me. Here I've been training now for a year. I went through a neck injury again. I finally get there. I'm fired up for it, jacked up, nervous, butterflies, crazy. Show up first day, didn't want to talk to anybody. This thing happens, and now I get to sit on the sidelines again. Like, okay, I've had all these sidelines in college because of my neck. Now I got to do it again at the one thing I want to do.
Yeah.
So then that Saturday, Bill DeMont pulled me off to the side during that Friday, and he goes, I can see it, dude. Calm down. I know it. I can see you wanting to get out there. That's the athlete in you. He's like, this is pro wrestling. Relax. You're good.
Does he get pissed if you call him Hugh?
I never called him that.
Okay.
I just called him Coach.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
he portrayed a character called Hugh Morris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know him from WWE?
Goldberg's first loss or first win. So
I know a little bit about it.
All right.
So then that Saturday, the morning session, which was tough. This was tough, man. So I saw what the guys did that first day. I mean, they beat them up. Like, it was kind of like an evaluation to see kind of where everybody was, and then they beat them up. It was, 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening. And then that second day, I was ready to roll. A 3 hour in the morning session, crushed it. Like, it was like hitting the ropes, doing all the drills that I've been doing with my boys and practicing. Because Dash Wilder, who's in AEW now, but he was buddies with one of my buddies that trained me, because they both did time at Anarchy, which is in Cornelia, Georgia, which is where AJ Styles came from. And he gave me the scoop on what the tryout was. So I'd been training for those specific drills. So it was like a combine. All my buddies were training for the combine. I was training for WWE, and I crushed it. Like, really knocked it out the water. You could tell a lot of the people there were like models and bodybuilders and just independent wrestlers and stuff. There was only a handful of athletes, and we stood out.
Wow.
They put us all in a group. There was 4 of us that were in a group that led everything. So then the evening session for that day was a little bit in the ring, but then 1 hour in the Performance Center weight room. So I was like, oh, this is where I'm going to separate. Like, this is really where it happens. And it was like pull-ups, bar hangs, sled pushes, stuff like that, and sprints. Crushed that too. Like, to the point, like, Matt Bloom, Prince Albert, comes up to me. He's grabbing me. He's like, dude, he's like, that football stuff's really paying off. You being out of it so fresh, that's great. So that crushed that. So then Sunday is early morning, the last day in the ring. Independent guys get to have matches. The athletes don't. Then in the evening you do your promo, and then it's kind of sending you on your way, and they kind of let you know where you're going to be at.
Do you remember what your promo was?
I don't remember it word for word, but I know the gist of it.
Okay.
Right. And it was scripted. I practiced it. It was very traditional pro wrestling promo. You know, like calling out Daniel Style or not AJ Styles, not Daniel Bryan and Triple H and whoever was relevant at the.
Did you pull a Jeff Farmer? What was this one? Like, I'm gonna kick your ass. Woo!
Yeah, pretty much like bringing up.
Look up Jeff Farmer promo if you don't know what it is.
Bring up the people's captain to NXT. Like, they didn't. That was next. I was next. All that type stuff, right? And then there was guys that got up there, and I was like, oh, I did as good as all of them as far as like a prepared promo, I thought. And then there was one guy that kind of stood out, and he stood out the whole weekend. His name was Josh Woods, Josh the Goods Woods. He's with RO Ring of Honor right now, one of the champs over there. But we hit it off. He ended up getting signed by him, but he just stood out. He was older. He was kind of where I am now in just his maturity, and he was just more open. Like, he didn't really give a fuck what people thought about him down there. He was laughing, cutting up. The coaches were kind of like, dude, be serious. And he was like, man, it's pro wrestling. I am serious. Like, y'all, the charismatic will stand out. Like, it's not the guys that are just bland. You can be bland, whatever. Yeah. And he was one of the ones that got signed, and his promo was just off the cuff. Just like, hey, my name is Josh. I'm the Goods. I'm Josh Woods. I'm the Goods. Like, all that type of stuff. And it was like, oh, that was just kind of real. He didn't script that. He just took a minute or two and did it real. So if I had an opportunity to do it again, I would do exactly what I did athletically. But my promo would just be like talking to the people in the audience, in the crowd, and to the coaches, not just like a promo to WWE or whatever. Yeah. So then the guy that was over it, his name was Kanan. He was a former professional beach volleyballer, right? I don't know why he was running talent relations for WWE at the time. But so he came up to me and he said, listen, man.
Do something during winter, right?
Yeah. He come up and he's like, he's a talent scout, right? He's like, he thinks he can find the right people.
Yeah.
So he comes up and he's like, hey, man, listen, the coaches really liked you. They definitely put you on the board, that you were one of the athletes that stood out. You're a little young, not there yet with your personality as far as that goes. But what we want you to do is we're going to keep you in the we're going to follow you and go hit the indie scene. And if you stay at it, we'll see what happens. And they stayed in contact. He did for probably 2 years or so. And then it just kind of died off with the contact. And then I started coming to my own, that third and fourth year. got named the Pro Wrestling Illustrated one to watch.
Wow.
And everybody that's ever been named that's been signed except for me, so that's embarrassing. But other than that, man, that was the pro wrestling journey. And so the trial was awesome. So Joshua Good Woods was down there. He got signed.
Is this like Tough Enough? Is Tough Enough an accurate representation of what you went through?
So the drills they do during Tough Enough, like their in-ring stuff,
yeah,
is similar or exactly the same stuff that they do at the tryout. But the drama is not there. Like there's not somebody come up to me like, "Hey, so the guy in this ring over here, he said that you look like you was a pretty good athlete, but you weren't as fast as he thought you were." Like they're not setting you up with those type, selling Sunset type of MTV stories. But
who is the guy who's the blonde haired dude? He was with the other guy who used to bring the scale to the ring. He beat the crap out of people. Like one guy in Tough Enough, he was literally stomping the dude's face in.
Oh, you're talking about Hardcore Holly.
Hardcore Holly, there we go.
Yeah. So I
like this book though. I like this book. It was straight shit.
Yeah, Bob Holly's great. They didn't get in the ring with us and roll around. Now being where I'm at now, I would love to get in the ring with anybody. Like you look like Matt Riddle. I mean, I've had 2 great matches with Riddle, and Riddle's now a main eventer. Yeah. Like just had a main event match with Roman Reigns for the championship on SmackDown.
Yeah. Where's a nice pair of slides?
Yeah. He's on the Tonight Show tonight. So, Riddle's doing great things, man.
Have you ever done a King of the Road match? And for those that don't know, we'll tie this back to trucking. In 1995 at WCW Uncensored, Dustin Runnels, he fought the Blacktop Bully in the back of a semi-truck. In the back of the semi-truck, they put like chicken wire. It was almost like chicken wire and a bunch of you had to ring a bell and this moving down the highway. You had to fight a guy in a semi. Nice. And what happened during the match is Dustin Runnels, he bladed during it. Blading is what he told us on What the Truck.
Yeah. We know exactly what
he
that
made
is.
himself bleed. Was not allowed on WCW. So they fired Dustin Runnels and the Blacktop Bully, who used to be smashed from Demolition. This sent Dustin Runnels over to WWF, where he became Goldust.
Wait a minute. Y'all had Goldust on the show?
Oh, no, I wish.
Hell no.
This was WCW. This was a WCW pay-per-view.
I thought you were saying he told you on the show, but what blading was, you're talking about me telling you on the show.
You did.
Yeah. I thought you had Gold. I was about to say, man, y'all had
cool.
Gold. Yeah, you're talking about me about wrestling.
No.
I mean, Goldust be sweet.
He's a big cat.
I could probably get you guys some wrestling people if you wanted.
Yeah, send them my way.
I definitely talk to them about that, see what they want to do.
Maybe get you wrestling somebody in the back of one of these chicken
I was
trucks
about to say, wait a minute. Y'all want content.
Yeah.
You guys find me one person in logistics that will sign up,
and
I will have a pro wrestling match with them inside of a moving semi that you guys fix up, and we'll do a Freightwaves What the Truck episode collab, and we'll just film it and put it out. It has to get views.
Yeah.
Give me Steve Cox.
He's going to get 10.
Well, if we can't get a truck, we got to use one of these green screen rooms in here, and we'll put up like a chicken cage and make it look like a truck.
I know a trucking company.
All right.
So me and Steve Cox.
Is this legal though? Steve Cox, will this be legal, Steve Cox?
It will be legal. It will be legal on back roads, like in an industrial park.
Yeah.
Can't say anything about that.
Drive in a circle in an industrial park.
As long as you
don't have to drive.
As long as
we'll
it's
just
a private
put it in a trailer.
We'll
just have a match in a trailer.
Oh, so the King of the Road match was driving down the road. The logistics are much easier if we don't have to make this drive down the road.
Yeah, I'm talking about just a trailer. We'll stock it, put some pads in there.
All right.
And me and Steve Cox, and I'll just me and him.
And then you and Chris Jolly on the undercard. You challenged him like a year ago.
I did. I dropped his name.
He's been ducking you.
Yeah, he has.
What
and
happened?
He better be.
What happened?
I will kick his ass.
Well, we have the Wheel of Stupid Questions on What the Truck, and it came up like who in logistics would you want to fight? You could fight one person.
Who do you think you could take?
Who do you think you could take? And he said Chris Jolly.
Just said Chris Jolly.
Yeah.
And so the challenge is out there, Chris.
Oh, I'm
out there a long
texting the
time.
freight coach right after this show's over, and we're going to get this settled.
That challenge has
So
been
he'll
out
be
there.
the undercard on there, and I'll be like, listen, I need a co-main.
Yeah.
And you're up, kid.
There you go.
You know?
Yeah.
Listen, hey, guys, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Love it.
Dude, this is awesome. We'll have to do this again later on down the road. But, guys, that was awesome. What the Truck, man.
What the Truck.
It was sweet. Check those guys' shows out. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, and wherever you get podcasts from, you audio podcasts, you can just look up What the Truck. You get it that way. You want to watch it, download Freightwaves TV app, look up Freightwaves YouTube. We're on there. Or FreightWaves.com. We're on there as well. And you can find me on Twitter at Timothy Dooner. That's DOONER. You can find him at Vincent the Dude.
At Vincent the Dude.
They've done that once or twice. Guys, subscribe to the show. Hit that bell notification. Leave some comments. Leave a review. Like it, dislike it. Don't really give a shit. Just do something. Peace. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Right on.